Tired of long waits and rushed care at the ER and urgent care clinic? Next time, stay home and let Dispatch Health bring the power of the hospital to you.
I call Dispatch Health. A care team of medical professionals actually come to your house.
They're the same caliber of people that you would see if you were at a hospital or an urgent care.
Dispatch Health can treat most non-life-threatening emergencies.
They can do the x-rays, they can do stitches,
urinary tract infections, blood test, urinalysis, ultrasound.
It's almost everything that they can do at the ER.
You never feel rushed. They're there for you and only you.
I felt like their only patient.
And it costs no more than a trip to urgent care because Dispatch Health is covered by most insurance, including Medicare. See if we serve your home at dispatchhealth.com.
Dispatch Health really went above and beyond.
It's wonderful to have care come to your home.
House calls are back, and they're better than ever. Learn more at dispatchhealth.com.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
I hate the commentators. I hate the ring announcers. I hate the production. I hate the wrestling. I hate the interviews. I hate their promo style. I hate the way the shows are presented. I hate the way the shows are paced. I hate the video packages. I hate everything about this company with every fiber of my being.
And Rich Crage.
You know, he comes out and you're just like, ugh, gross. Like, look at this guy.
Yeah.
In all the best ways possible. He's just the slimiest looking guy you've ever seen. I love him so much. He's so good. And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. Joe, what's happening?
I like the new intro.
It's a good one. Classic bit. People last week when they heard it said, nope, that's got to be in the intro. And it was perfect. And then I was going over the New Japan card. And I saw our guy, Lord Gideon Gray, the man I'm referring to in the gross clip. He's putting the boots on, strapping the boots on. So gotta get the Lord Gideon Gray some love. So
yeah. Big winner too. The second night of Royal Quest, they won that 10-man with Lord Gideon Gray. I thought for sure
he's a winning wrestler. He's you know.
He's going to have an all-time New Japan winning percentage at this pace.
If we were doing the ebook, yeah, we'd have to be a great write-up about him.
Surely he's been in some matches. Did he wrestle at all? He's got to have some losses. I have to know this now.
To see if he's ever wrestled in.
He's wrestled a million. He wrestled a million matches on the tour and took the pin and all.
Shit! All right, well,
you can forget that.
All right, ebook thing would not be that good then. So no. All right.
Yeah, but big winner at Royal Quest nonetheless was Lord Gideon Gray. But,
yeah. Oh man, he wrestles a lot. I didn't even notice he was. A lot of these aren't airing, or I guess I'm probably not watching as many of the undercards as I maybe used to. So I'm possibly missing some of these, but that's all right.
He wrestled. He's wrestling on the tours. I don't even think he's worked he worked a couple Corkins.
Yeah, a couple Corkins. Yeah. So there's probably a chance that he wrestled on a show that I watch, and I just said, I think I'm good. I'll get to the meat and potatoes of the show.
He loses. He loses to everyone. He beats the Young Lions though.
Okay. All right. Yeah. He should.
I do notice he beats the Young Lions, so he's slotted ahead of them at least, even though he's like a manager. The Young Lions just aren't going to beat anybody but each other. So he's got a couple wins. He's got about half a dozen wins. Probably, he's got a better record than I would have guessed. He's like 6-25 or something. Probably.
Yeah, unfortunately, it'd be that in our ebook we would have like the win-loss record, then we'd have the parentheses and then the falls that they would take or whatever. Yeah. I'd imagine his 6-25 would be a pretty ghastly number of the falls that the lordship has taken. Have they? I wonder what they're going to do with Tsuji when Tsuji comes back, or he's ready to come back. Is he United Empire? I mean, he's loyal-ish to
Yota
Lord
Tsuji?
Gideon. Yeah.
Well, I would assume they will do some kind of angle in his last Rev Pro appearance, or one of his last Rev Pro appearances, to give that clarity. Or he'll just come in as United Empire.
Yeah, which isn't the worst. I mean, that wouldn't be the worst spot for him, honestly.
No, I'd be okay with that.
He fits in with that crew for sure.
Be a very large stable at this point, with Aussie Open coming in and everything. But yeah, I wouldn't be against that. But they more than likely they could always have him just beat up Gideon Gray on his last game or something, and that would, that would tie up the loose end. We'll have to see.
So, not impromptu beginning there, discussing Lord Gideon Gray and Yota Tsuji's future booking. That's how we start this award-winning show, number one in the Isle of Man and Turkey, by the way. But I had a question for you, Joe. This is a little off-topic banter, and then we will get to the wrestling. I know for some people this infuriates them, and other people it is the only reason they listen to the show. I, for dinner today, was eating grocery store fried chicken. Now, first off, what is your thoughts on grocery store fried chicken?
I've succumbed to that now and then.
All right. Sometimes you look at it and you're like, hell, you know what? That wasn't the plan. I wasn't going to eat grocery store fried chicken for dinner today. And then I went to the grocery store and I saw that fried chicken and I was like, damn, you know what?
Looking good.
I eat grocery store fried chicken when I go home today.
Yeah.
And I did. And it was great. I'm glad I did it. I regret nothing. I regret nothing from the night.
Did it come from the hot bar?
I did. Yeah, they have they have a new there's like a sign that says like new broaster chicken or whatever. So it's they've upgraded because this place that I go to, it's had some pretty I've done it before and I have been disappointed. This was not disappointing. This was nice and crisp, nice and good. It was the spicy. It was good. It had a good spice to it. Health wise, I don't know if it was the most healthy dinner, but that's fine. I had I made a salad at the salad bar. I had quite a meal. I had a salad from the salad bar and a grocery store fried chicken. So I was doing well. But enough about me and my, so you do enjoy the grocery store fried chicken at times.
Listen, right? Sometimes you walk by and you smell it.
The smell. You're like, fuck.
And you take a look and you're like, you know what? I'm going to have some of this grocery store fried chicken. Now, sometimes you'll eat it and then you'll be like, why did I get the grocery store fried chicken? You have the regret, but sometimes it's perfectly fine, a couple times a year. It's like, do you have Golden Corral out by you?
There are a couple Golden Corrals, not many. The buffets are very limited these days, but I have gone to a Golden Corral, yes.
I guess any cheap buffet would apply to what I'm going to say, though. But anytime I've ever gone to Golden Corral, I thought it was the greatest idea before I walked in. And then I eat 9 plates of utter garbage. And when I'm walking out, I say to myself, I'm never going to Golden Corral ever again. And then it repeats 6 months later.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the same thing with the grocery store fried chicken, right? It smells good. It's tempting. You eat it and you're like, you know what? Never again. But you're going to be right back 6 months from now.
Oh, certainly.
Catch a whiff. And you're going to buy that plastic container with the fried chicken.
Absolutely, yeah. We've had this discussion White Castle as well. I know that for some people, if you've ever, White Castle has this thing where like you eat it and you're instantly just like, my stomach just fucking, oh god,
why did I do this?
Like your skin smells like it, just your whole body just smells like White Castle for like hours afterwards, and you're like that was gross, man. Like, I'm never doing that again. But then sometime you drive past and you go, God damn, I'm getting some White Castle tonight. Yeah. Or, if it's late at night and you're like, I'm hungry, and, White Castle's going to hit the spot. And it hits the spot, but then, and then you instantly go, that is sickening. You're burping it up, and it's just the onions, and you're like, oh, no, I'm good. I don't need to eat this again.
Sometimes you got to have that steam grilled taste.
Right? I mean, like, now that we're talking about it, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, shit, tomorrow I could see myself getting a Crave case and going to town. And the problem is you also eat like an abhorrent amount of White Castles.
Yeah.
You never have like 2 and you go, all right.
Yeah.
Quite the snack that was. Thank you.
Yeah. You really should just pull in and order 1. And pay the 78 cents or whatever, because I can think of the taste of White Castle in my mind right now. Like I can taste it in my mind. It's so distinctive. I think if we just ordered 1, the craving would go away.
It would satiate what we're looking for. Yes.
Because you just want to hit that. You want that flavor to hit your palate, that distinctive taste. And I think we'd be happy with that. But no, I'm like you. I'll go in. I'll pull into that drive-thru.
15.
I'll order 17 of them. Chicken rings.
Right. Mozzarella sticks. Mozzarella sticks for sure. Yeah.
If you're real daring, you throw in the clam strips.
Oh, no. No.
Yeah. So, and then you eat it all. And those fucking boxes are all over your dining room table. And you're just like
your pores. Your pores just reek of like for like days on end. You can't get the smell away from you.
That's awful.
Got to take that. You got to get it out of your house. You can't even do that. It's the worst. But
can't you taste it in your mind?
I can, and I kind of want it right now. I wish we weren't doing this dumb show. I'd love to. Yeah. It's fine. We'll do this. This show. But the big reason why I asked this is, and this is something that has come up in past old school flagship listeners will know all about you and the grocery store rotisserie chickens.
Yes.
One of your favorite meals of yesteryear. And I realized that we haven't talked about it. As I'm scarfing down this grocery store fried chicken, I'm realizing, I wonder if Joe still eats grocery store rotisserie chicken. And I was thinking about this a lot because I know that now you are a grocery store delivery guy, which, by the way, we got to get one of those to sponsor us. Don't tell me which one you use, but maybe in the DMs, let me know, and we'll shoot them a message and say, hey, let's get some sponsorship going here. I know you guys need, nobody knows about your services, Uber Eats, DoorDash, all these, different. But those aren't the two. I know those aren't the two that you use.
They don't do it.
Yeah, they don't do it. I know which one. I think I know which one you use, but I don't want to give them the free publicity. They're gonna have to pay for that first. But anyway, you'll have to let me know in the DM so we can message them. But can you order? And I guess I wondered this too because I never do this. I've never done the grocery store delivery. But can you order the rotisserie chicken, like the grocery store rotisserie chicken, from the delivery services?
Yes.
Okay.
Now the specific grocery store you're ordering from, when it comes to hot items, you can only order them between certain times, but you can order them.
Okay.
So it'll be like, oh, you can only order this between 11 and 5 or whatever, or you're not going to get it. But you can order it. In fact, have you ordered it? Yes. Yeah. When I get my groceries delivered on a Saturday or Sunday, if I'm watching football, sometimes I'll have them. Sometimes I'll make the grocery order, right? And then I'll just tack on at the end some hot wings or some rotisserie chicken or the fried chicken that you just ate. And then, that's my meal while I'm eating while I'm watching the football when the groceries show up. So yeah, they will deliver that hot stuff. Absolutely.
Okay. That's good to know. I wondered, and you're still frequenting the rotisserie chicken.
Yeah. I mean, I don't eat as much as I used to. Like,
well, it was every meal.
That was like at least 3-4 times a week. I'd get off work.
When you're a single when you're a single like adult, it is. Yeah. There is no. I mean, before I met the nurse, I mean, I wasn't eating like bad, but I just didn't care. Who gives a shit what you eat? Just whatever you can eat to eat.
I didn't keep food in the house.
Yeah, I had nothing in my house. No. Who cares? I just ate because I had to eat, and then I moved on with my life. It was never a thought. Never, how Steve Jobs always wore the same shirt every day, just so he didn't have to think about one less decision he had to make every single day. I was like, whatever, dude. I had like 5 frozen pizzas and some rotisserie chickens, and I was like, I'll just eat these. Like, who cares? I'll just eat them, and I'll be done, and I never have to think about what I have to eat ever again. And it made life so much easier. Yeah,
most of the time, I would have like a gallon of ice cream and 3 cases of Coke Z in the fridge, and that was it. So I knew I'd have to get something on the way home. So the rotisserie chicken, which is why my great advice to the single women that were listening, which was probably in the single digits, but for all the single that were
3 tops, 3, especially in those days, we were we were a big time show even then. But even these days,
the thing about it is even the women that listen are all married. You notice that?
Right.
We have a lot of married women that listen to the show. We know, I don't think young single women is our key demographic by any means.
I don't think so.
But my advice to them was, if you're having trouble meeting dudes or you want to meet, some guys, a very underrated place to do so is about 5:30 to 5:45 in your local grocery store at the rotisserie chicken hot stand, because all the single guys are getting off work and they have either a case of beer or, in my case, a case of Coke Z in one hand, and they're grabbing a hot rotisserie chicken in the other hand.
Yeah.
And that's their meal. They'll be there with their sleeves rolled up. Maybe the tie is a little loosened. That'd be my move.
Oh, absolutely.
Tie would be a little loosened.
Quite literally, you're describing the guy that was next to me in line. So I went and got I had the wedding ring on though, at least. And sometimes when I'll like play basketball at lunch and I'll take the wedding ring off because I don't want it to get jammed or whatever. And I'll put it in my car. And then sometimes I won't put it back on. But before I walked into the grocery store, so people didn't think I was that guy ordering the rotisserie, getting the grocery store fried chicken and a hot bar salad or whatever, the salad bar salad. I threw the ring back on just so they know, no, trust me. Like I assure you, despite the order that I'm making, I am married. But the guy behind me was exactly what you're describing. Probably worked at a bank or like a law firm or something like that. Sleeves rolled up, going to the hot bar. I think he had like a thing of mozzarella sticks and like 4 chicken tenders or something like that.
Perfect.
And a case of Coronas. And it was just like, this is my night. Like,
and you know
whatever.
what he's going to do? He's going to go home. Those pants are coming off immediately.
For sure.
Right? He's going to put on Eagles Texans, and he's going to eat those chicken fingers and moot sticks and drink those Coronas.
Yeah.
And fall asleep in his easy chair.
Oh, he didn't look depressed. He looked like, hell yeah, this is going to be a great night.
Big night. Yeah, it's a big night. You know?
He's got Thursday Night Football on the Amazon Prime, right? Is that the Amazon Prime?
Amazon Prime. He's got the fried food. He's got the undefeated Eagles, and he's got a case of beer. You know, but that's it.
He does the thing where the lazy boy, he puts the legs up and then he kicks the shoes off after that.
Yes.
That's the classic move. You take your shoes off before, that's fine, but the classic move is and then kink, and then you kick the shoes off there. That is the ultimate G move, yeah.
And that's where you find the shoes the next day.
Right, they don't move. Yeah, they never move. So
is right in front of the chair. Yeah, no doubt about it. And I used to do that savage move where on the way home, I would dig into the rotisserie chicken, and by the time I walked into my house, both legs and both wings were already consumed, right? With the bones either chucked out the window or thrown in the bag. And then I would come home with just what would be left of the chicken would just be the breasts and the thighs, because the legs and the wings would be eaten in the car, because I couldn't wait the 12 minutes to get home.
That smell, it smells infectious, man. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, and then I got the greasy hands and everything, but and I'd be driving with like my index finger
elbow.
and my thumb, from one hand, because I don't want to get my wheel greasy. Because I don't know if you know this about me, but I keep an impeccably clean car. Have I ever talked about that?
I believe you have, but yeah, go off if you'd like. Yeah, clean car. Lands it. Yeah.
I'm like a psychopath. I keep an impeccably clean car to the point where if you got in it, you'd think I bought it last week. Like, I cannot stand a dirty car. I have to wipe the gimmicks like twice a week with the gimmick wipes. I can't. I have to vacuum it out. I have to stop at one of them little things and vacuum it out. And now you can imagine with the kids how they think I'm
I can't imagine. Yeah, my wife's bad enough about she'll throw something out in the car and put it in the door, and I'm like, no, you gotta give it to me over here, because I can't have this garbage. I'm not to the extent that you are, but I'm pretty close. But it's a whirlwind when the nurse is in there, so I cannot imagine children and Cheerios and all this shit all over the car.
No, I don't allow them to eat.
Oh, wow, all right.
No. See, if I stop and get them food after school, that food stays in the front seat with me. I don't even hand it back to them. Like, they're just at the point now where I trust them with the drink. They don't get the food. Forget it, because there's going to be they're kids. There's going to be crumbs everywhere. So I'll eat the legs and the wings, but then I don't want to touch my steering wheel with my greasy fingers. So then I'm driving with like my index finger and my thumb for the rest of the ride home to avoid touching the steering wheel. So yeah, that was the single life. That's how it was. I'd eat that at least 3-4 times a week, and the thing is, I know how to cook, but I still wouldn't have food in the house.
But yeah, if you're a single dude, a single adult, why? Who cares? You know? You care enough to sit there over a fucking pan and go, all right, here we go. Like, okay, no, just eat because you have to, and then you can go watch the game. You know what I mean? Or you eat while you watch the game. So
yeah,
it's just a conduit it's just a conduit to watching stuff on TV. You know what I mean? It's just
totally. Yeah, because it comes in its own little plastic dish too, so you could just sit on the couch. Like now that I think back, outside of the rotisserie chickens, I can't even remember what I used to eat when I was single and lived alone. I can't remember. Like, what I'm thinking now, I'm like, what the fuck did I eat? And like regular meals at regular times, that was that's laughable. Like I didn't eat breakfast, lunch, and like I didn't eat at 9 a.m., noon, and fucking 6. I just ate whenever I felt hungry, and I can't even really remember what it is that I was eating. I couldn't even tell you because I know I didn't cook that much, and I know it wasn't always fast food. I'd be 700 pounds. I really can't remember. Crazy days, man.
Probably just Hot Pockets and I don't know.
Yeah, I really don't know.
One time I was talking to you were eating a Zaxby's salad, so I think I don't know. Yeah,
I've been to the Zaxby's. Yeah, I've been to the Zaxby's. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah,
that keeps you healthy. Zaxby's salad.
Yeah, I got good salads at Zaxby's.
Well, you told me that, and then I was in South Carolina, and there was a Zaxby's, and I was like, we gotta stop there. There's great salads there, and they're like, how do you know? There's no Zaxby's anywhere near us. I'm like, I don't know. I've heard that they have good salads. They have damn good salads. I can't lie.
Good fast food salad.
You did not steer me wrong. I told people, I'm like, we should just stop at Zaxby's. They got good salads, and they're like, all right, fine, and they did. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So there we go. Well, now we're married men, and I ate grocery store fried chicken tonight, and I don't know what you ate for dinner. You're gonna eat a bowl of cereal at midnight. So yeah, it's all turned out.
So well, what I do now is on Wednesday nights, because I cook dinner every night. So on Wednesday nights, I will cook something that's guaranteed to have leftovers because I can't cook on Thursday nights, and this way everybody's fed. You see?
Right.
So last night I made spaghetti and meatballs, with the sauce. I
saw them on our Discord. Looked like pretty good meatballs.
Yeah, I put a picture up.
Pretty good meatballs, not going to lie.
Yeah, so I started, I like to start nice and early because, you want to cook that low and slow. The longer those flavors fuck, the better it tastes. So I like to start early in the morning, just like I do when I make the Sunday gravy. And then that's the dinner. But now that's what they're eating for dinner tonight while I'm in here doing the show because there's plenty left over. Now, the mystery is when I'm done, is there going to be any left?
Yeah, okay.
That's the mystery.
Will you be able to eat anything afterwards? We'll see.
Or will I be heading to the grocery store for a cold rotisserie chicken?
Just one sad cold rotisserie chicken, yeah.
Yeah, the one that's been sitting because they take them off the heat. And then
right. It's just so sad. They're like, you'll heat it up on your own, I'm sure. Or you won't. You're not going to. You're just going to eat. Yeah. Oh, the shrivel. Oh, the rotisserie chicken shrivel is so sad.
Where the skin kind of...
yeah, it's so sad.
It contracts and the skin is shriveled up and the meat is all dried out and you're like, I don't want to cook. It's the only thing in this store. And you're like, fine. And you buy it anyway.
So sad.
And then it's awful. And you're like, I just should have stopped at fucking Whataburger or something because this is atrocious. Yeah. But that'll be my fate if they finish the meatballs tonight.
Let's see. Those are good looking meatballs. I could see them going quick. So we'll see how they, looked like a lot of them. Looked like a lot of them. So I think I make
a lot. I make a lot. Yeah. Cause it's for 2 days. So I make a lot, so, you could plug the Discord if they
absolutely voicesofwrestling.com/Discord. Great conversation.
Go look at the meatballs.
Yeah, go look at the meatballs. Yeah, voicesofwrestling.com/Discord.
If you could see the garlic and the
and that was something I saw. I zoomed in. And I was like, okay, all right.
I don't fuck around.
No,
they're excellent.
All right, so now we'll talk about some professional wrestling at this point.
So, last week we went 48 minutes on the off topic.
We did.
And people were mad. There were some people that were mad, I noticed, on the YouTube comments and everything. Today we only went, like 20 minutes or something? So
no, they'll still be mad.
I'm almost tempted to go 25 more minutes just to annoy them again.
Just go 1 minute longer. And that's how we build up to our eventual 3-hour banter show, is we go 1 minute longer to make those people mad, those 3 people. Because 95% of the people did not care and enjoyed it, but there were 3 people who had to let us know they didn't like it. So now we're going to do a show to spite them, and every single week we'll go a minute longer with our banter until it literally just takes up the entire show. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, that show's coming. You never know when it's coming.
It's coming.
You'll see. We'll send you a run sheet. Like you'll think you're getting, Roadblock End of the Line, Destruction in Bipu. Whatever the fuck, but it's going to be the all banter show. It's just going to sneak up on you and hit you is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, I think the best way to do it too is like you and I plan that we're going to talk about stuff. Like I'm ready. Like I've watched all this shit all week or whatever. And then it's just going to happen. You know what I mean? Like
well, look, they got Lord Gideon Gray talk at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean,
right, right. That's wrestling.
we opened with, of course, the topic that everyone figured we would open
Lord
with.
Gideon Gray fantasy booking.
Yeah, Lord Gideon Gray's 1-loss record in New Japan is what we opened with, because why not? Last week I took a listen to all of the Ringer Wrestling podcasts.
Why? Who told you to do that?
And
Who told you to do that? Joe, who told you to do that?
No one told me.
Okay.
I recapped them for the Discord.
Yes.
So I listened to the Masked Man show, and I listened to Cheap Heat, hosted by Dopey Pete, and I listened
so many.
And I listened to Mac Mania.
So are those the three, or are there more than three?
Those are the three, and then the Masked Man also has his. He does a series recapping the history of the Attitude Era.
Oh God! Thank God! Finally, somebody could shine a spotlight.
Someone breaking it down era. For once.
Yeah, finally, I could hear about the time when Stone Cold Steve Austin drove a beer truck into the arena. Joe, get this, into the arena, and then sprayed Vince McMahon and The Rock and Shane McMahon and I forget who else with beer. Finally, we were going to talk about the stuff that matters, the stuff that nobody covers. Thank God, Dopey Pete. What the hell? Where's he at right now? Where's Pete at, or did you know?
Hold on now. Not Dopey Pete. This is Masked Man who does this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Masked Man does this.
Do you expect Dopey Pete to know anything about the Attitude Era?
Well, I thought that would be his. I thought that would be his thing. Is like, all right, watching this for the first time. Like, whoa.
That guy doesn't know anything.
He doesn't know anything.
He knows nothing. So.
Okay, so the Masked Man. Where is he at, by the way, in this Attitude Era retrospective podcast?
Listen.
That's a bridge too far for you.
That's a bridge too far. That I can't do. Okay.
Reviewing the February 8th, 1998 episode of Nitro.
Yeah. So all of these are listed under the Ringer Wrestling show, but it's all these different shows listed under.
Oh, what a gimmick that is.
They combine them all to one feed. So you have the Masked Man, you have Cheap Heat with Dopey Pete, you have Mac Mania, and then I'm looking for that series. You know what? He may have then they have something that's just called the Ringer Wrestling Show, which is usually like post-show reviews or interviews. Like they have a Carry On Cross interview here, Extreme Rules post-show. I don't know. That series he was doing, he must have quit it halfway or I can't find it. But anyway, those are the three primary shows. The point I'm making is we mocked ourselves for opening up with Lord Gideon Gray's New Japan 1-loss record. I listened to all three of these shows from last week, and I shit you not. They all do about an hour, maybe 90 minutes. So they get to like 3 or 4 topics each. On all three of these shows, one of the topics, meaning one of the biggest topics of the week, okay? Because they do one show a week. They hit the big topics, like they were talking about the MJF apparent babyface turn on the Masked Man show. So it's all big. One of the topics on all three shows, which means they thought was the Nikki Cross return to WWE. I got to listen to all three shows break down.
So like 7 different people break down the Nikki Cross return.
I got Stat Guy Greg's take. I got Dopey Pete's take. I got the Masked Man's take.
What's the other guy? Is it Cruise Control?
I got some guy named Cruise Control. I got all of the takes on the big Nikki Cross return. And look, it just goes to show, and it exemplifies the differences in audiences that consume these different podcasts. I don't know how many hours would our show have had to have been last week before Nikki Cross returns was a topic on our
until we got to that. Yeah.
How many hours?
Oh man, at least 9, right?
I was thinking
more.
like 12 or 15 hours.
Yeah, because we would have went on like wild tangents. We would just start naming 90s NBA players at a certain point. We would just start talking about territory wrestling. We might just review an episode of like World Class, from 1982. Yeah, it would take a long. I think I could say confidently, I don't think it would ever come up.
Do you want to know what Dopey Pete did on? Here's the Dopey Pete topics. You ready?
No, not. But go ahead.
What Logan Paul's future looks like beyond this weekend's Crown Jewel matchup with Roman Reigns.
Okay.
Dip's
that's
thoughts.
Okay. That's okay. Dip's thoughts.
Well, so there's some guy named Dip.
Okay.
Dip's thoughts
Dip's
on
thoughts.
Omos and Braun Strowman, which sets off a Donnybrook match between the guys. Yeah,
Okay.
they debated the Omos Braun Strowman storyline. Dip and Dopey P don't like it, and they think it's a waste of time, and there's not enough story. Stat guy Greg took the other side. He is excited for that match and says, "Look, you don't need a story when two big giants are going at it." So
I'm kind of with him. I'm kind of with him on that. So
I'm with Stat guy Greg.
Yeah, Stat guy Greg's right. It's almost in fucking Braun Strowman. I don't need a video package or a bunch of in-ring promos to get me hyped up or a car angle for Omos and Braun Strowman.
Stat guy Greg was like, "Look, I got two giants going at it."
Yeah, I'm with him. I mean, I don't want to watch it. He probably wants to watch it more than I do.
He wants to watch it, but his point was,
I get it.
I just want to see the action, were his exact words. And I respect that. Like, It might not be a match I want to see, but he wants to. And Dopey Pete said, "You sound like a Young Bucks fan now," his response. And said that it's about stories, not the action, Stat guy Greg. Right. So there's not enough story. Anyway, that was topic number 2. Then they did why we need to care about what's happening between Brock and Bobby Lashley. Again, their contention is not enough story, Rich. Mm-hmm. They're just not telling enough story here. Solo Sikoa's superstar potential. And then the final topic of the night was the return of Nikki Cross. Then they did Halloween Havoc thoughts, and it turned out that Dopey Pete didn't watch the show, so he didn't have any thoughts.
Well, why would he? Come on.
That was the topics, just as an example.
He only watches one company. Doesn't have time to watch any ancillary.
Oh, he doesn't. He doesn't watch NXT.
Yeah.
Dip. He asked Dip how many of the wrestlers on the show he would recognize, and Dip surmised that he might know of Mandy Rose and Braun Breaker because Pete met Braun Breaker at a party once, so he might know who he is. And so he doesn't even watch NXT. I listened to their post Forbidden Door show, and Pete only watched 2 of the matches on the show. For their post show.
I like it. That's good. That's good. I would love to do an instant reaction live with me and you, and I'm like, I didn't watch any of it. I'll
and then one of the other
talk for an hour. I'll talk about the main event. So.
Yeah, like Dip or whatever was like, well, we're doing a post. He's like, I had things to do, so I watched 2 matches. So
don't do the show.
He does a weekly podcast on pro wrestling, and he doesn't watch.
That's a good gimmick. We need to do that because I watch too much goddamn wrestling for this stupid show.
Exactly. You think I'm going to knock him?
No, that's a great hustle, and I wish I had it.
I was watching Noah all day like a jerk.
Exactly.
This guy just shows up to his show and is like, I didn't watch. Let's hear some takes. He's smarter than all of us. So, anyway, what was my point here? Oh, my point here was, our run sheet looks drastically different than, the run sheet over at the Ringer. That's all. They're not breaking down Gideon Gray's 1-loss record.
No, they are not starting with Gideon Gray. Not at all.
and they talk a lot about stories. I mean, these guys
love stories.
I have a feeling their parents never tucked them in and read them stories or something, because they are just fixated on, we want more stories, not enough stories. Where's the story? Well, every topic boils down to somebody not telling a good enough story or wanting more stories. So I guess you can blame the grifters for pounding that into everyone's head, right?
Like that's like a Bischoff thing or
Bischoff
whatever.
thing, and they've
Pritchard,
all
they all preach that wrestling's nothing without the stories, or okay,
right?
Yeah, well, I'm sure on the Ringer they're not going to talk about Nikolai Anton Bell wrestling the Natural Classics in New Zealand in a couple weeks, but we are going to do that on that show because we are going to cover a lot of stuff here. We're going to talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling's Battle Autumn show coming up this weekend. We also have a full card for the first New Japan, the new offshoot brand, I guess you could call it, of New Japan. They're running in New Zealand November 11th. We have the whole card, and yes, the wheelman Tony Kazina is on it, so we will talk about that. We'll break down the Battle Autumn card, and also the New Japan World TV title tournament. The first round was exciting and fun and interesting, and had a match that I absolutely adored and absolutely loved, and then you wrote about it on FlagshipPatreon.com, and you said you loved it, and it was great, and then we watched the quarterfinals, or I know I watched the quarterfinals. I think you did as well, and all good things must come to an end. But I'll talk about the quarterfinals of the New Japan World TV title tournament, because there are matches going on at Battle Autumn to determine that. We're going to talk about the latest in Pro Wrestling Noah, and boy, do we have some shenanigans afoot in Pro Wrestling Noah as usual. We promised a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago that we were just going to stop talking about Noah, but we can't. There's too many things to talk about, too many things to break down. So we have a few things that I do want to highlight about the recent Noah show that we had. FITE Plus. FITE is ramping up their FITE Plus offering. We're going to talk about that. Added GCW to the mix, added a few other promotions to the mix. We'll talk a little bit about the business behind that, what we think the reasons for these companies moving over, or how this is going to work for FITE, all that other stuff we'll get to. WWE Q3 earnings call happened yesterday, right? Yesterday, I believe. Surprise, surprise, WWE made money again, and then completely unrelated to that, they are going to be in Saudi Arabia for a show this weekend, WWE Crown Jewel. So we'll talk about that show. And then, actually, we'll start off with this. 2 AEW topics we absolutely have to start off with. The first being, Joe, I'm going to read this to you, and this is a thing that is happening on Friday. We're recording this on Thursday. Tomorrow, this sentence will be true. Katsuyori Shibata will be facing Orange Cassidy for the AEW All-Atlantic Championship on Rampage with Mike Tyson on commentary. All true.
Yeah, that's all true.
It's
real.
a Mad Libs. If you made a wrestling Mad Libs, that'd be a pretty good one.
Yes.
But somehow, some way, Katsuyori Shibata will be facing Orange Cassidy this Friday on AEW Rampage for the AEW All-Atlantic title, and Iron Mike Tyson will be providing commentary for said match. Alongside Jim Ross.
Yeah. When I heard his music hit, it was so... I didn't even make the connection until he came on the screen, because my brain wouldn't make the connection that it could possibly be him coming out. And I heard the music, and I'm like, I think I know that music. And then it played for 4 or 5 seconds, and then they showed him on the stage, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, my brain wouldn't even accept that he was coming out to... clean house here and then challenge Orange Cassidy. So
yeah, my reaction was just like, excuse me?
Yeah, what? This is weird. Like, what is So Meltzer on his audio on I guess Thursday morning, you want to call it, because they do it at like 3 a.m. He says that Shibata asked for 2 matches from Tony Khan. He asked for Orange Cassidy and he asked for Bryan Danielson. So that kind of leads me to believe. A lot of people are saying, like, this is weird to bring in Shibata to just lose to Orange Cassidy on Rampage. But the fact that he wants to wrestle Orange Cassidy and Bryan Danielson, I'm not so sure he's losing. Like, I think he's beating Orange Cassidy for that title and then probably losing it to Bryan Danielson, either at Full Gear or Wrestle Kingdom. If this is a deal that they made with New Japan, then maybe the deal was, okay, Shibata wants to wrestle 2 of our guys here, and then they worked out this plan where, you know, he works a Rampage, and then New Japan gets, because we know New Japan wanted a lot of big AEW stars for the G1, and AEW couldn't afford to give them up because of their injury scenario. So I'm sure they want some AEW stars for Wrestle Kingdom. So maybe that's the deal. Maybe they'll do Shibata versus Bryan Danielson for the All-Atlantic title at Wrestle Kingdom, or maybe they'll do it at Full Gear, or maybe they'll do it on TV at some point. My point here is, I think there's a good chance Shibata wins. Everyone else seems to think that he's going to lose. What do you think?
I think I don't know. I've kind of hemmed and hawed on this all day. Initially, when I saw that they were signing the match, I was like, you know what? A good little one-off. Shibata's in America. He had availability. He was around. AEW said, hey, we got something for you. You can go in and have a comedy match with Orange Cassidy. You don't have to take that many bumps. You don't have to do that much stuff. I mean, you could do the thing where you're kicking the shins. You could chop each other a little bit. He could do some basic stuff. Like provided, like, let's say he's not clear. Like, New Japan hasn't fully cleared him. And I mean, go back and look. I mean, the last time he wrestled, quote unquote, was that thing with Ren Narita at Wrestle Kingdom. And, you know, we all heard, you know, later that he kind of went into business for himself and just decided, fuck this. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to wrestle a match. And New Japan, I didn't seem particularly happy that he decided to make that.
We debunked that.
I mean, right. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's like what the narrative is or whatever that New Japan.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But with that said, like, he hasn't been back. You know what I mean? Like, they haven't put him out there.
booked him for another match, and it's clear he wants to wrestle.
Right. So that's where, like, okay, so first off, I started with a little bit of like, all right, well, is he fully healthy, and New Japan is just being super, super careful? The classic thing, and WWE did this a lot over the recent years too, where it's like, you know, yeah, you might be good to go, but like, we don't want you on our books. Like, Kurt Angle was a great example of that many, many years ago, where Kurt probably could have still stayed in WWE. They just didn't want that guy to die on their watch. And that's kind of what they thought he was. And that, if you go back to, 2007, Kurt Angle, like, we all kind of thought, man, we're on this path, aren't we, with this guy? Like, he does not look good. He doesn't look healthy. He won't stop just taking damage and taking a beating. And WWE essentially just said, you know what? Just go. If you want to die on TNA's watch, go. But you're not on our watch. Not after what we just had with Eddie. Not what we had with Benoit. Not with what we had. Like, we're ready to just get away. And that happened a bunch of times with a bunch of guys. You can go to Bryan Danielson and Edge and all these sort of guys. Essentially, they just didn't want to clear these guys for one reason or another. Even if they were potentially clear or whatever, they just kind of said, you know what, not on our books. Just kind of go, do whatever you're going to do. And then, obviously a wrestling war changes all things. And most of those people that were not able to be cleared were suddenly, whatever. Yeah, you're cleared. You're good to go. So I don't know if that's just New Japan doing that for Shibata and just saying, you know what, we don't want to, just in case, we don't want to really, have anything happen. Or if there's truly some other reason why they haven't cleared him or he's not fully healthy. But that doesn't make sense of why this guy wants to wrestle. And then the first chance, he has to wrestle in AEW, he takes it, and presumably now he does want to do the match with Danielson too. And that when I saw that report, I was like, okay, well now I'm kind of changing, because initially, okay, you're going to go in there and have a little comedy match with Orange Cassidy because you're available on a Friday, cool, whatever. If he's doing a match with Danielson, like, I don't know, I'm with you. I think that there's a chance. I still think he loses, but I do think there's a remote possibility that he wins this. I don't know. I'm more dubious that he wins the title than that he does.
Well, if he's doing both matches, it makes no sense to lose the first one.
Did Dave say he's definitely doing the Danielson match? Or
no.
He wants to do. He wants to do that.
Yeah. Let me be clear. Meltzer said he asked for 2 matches, and those are the 2 matches he asked for.
Okay.
I'm just assuming, why wouldn't you give them both?
Right.
If I'm Tony Khan and
you're healthy, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Then if you're cleared, or our doctors clear you, or you're cleared to wrestle. Here's the other thing too. With Shibata's style, you can get around him taking bumps and still working a match, because you go back and watch the Ren Narita match. It's not like Ren Narita was giving him backdrop drivers. You know what I mean? It's like,
right, he wasn't taking Frankensteiners or whatever. He's just,
I mean, they were striking, and they weren't doing Death Valley drivers and fucking brain busters. They were, it was a Shibata match where they just beat each other up. So you can kind of get around that, but if he's cleared on any level, then yeah, why wouldn't you book him as many times as you possibly could? If he wants those 2 matches, I give him both matches. And if he's doing both matches, it doesn't make any sense to lose the first one. And this All Atlantic title already kind of has the gimmick of defended anytime, anywhere, in any place. That was kind of the, when Pac had it, he was defending it in European indies, and now that Orange Cassidy has it, his gimmick is people challenge him, and then he just shrugs his shoulders and says, I don't care. And then he wrestles all these 3-ways and everything where he's at a disadvantage. So it's kind of like this title that's a wild card. It could be defended anywhere in any kind of match. And it would make sense for Shibata to win it with the idea of, maybe he takes it to Japan or whatever. So I don't think it's out of the question that Shibata wins it, and then they have Bryan Danielson take it off of him at some point. But that's just me speculating. He could just show up on Friday and lose. I don't know. But I just think that energy to me would be weird. Like, I feel like he's going to win. Like,
there's something more to do here. And that would be like, you bring this guy in, and he's to some people, he's, who the hell is this guy? But to people that know who he is, and that's the people you have to care about, it's what I care about. It's I care about on this show. And I think Tony gets it as well, with the reaction at Forbidden Door and the kind of building up to this. This isn't just out of nowhere either. Like, go back to the Forbidden Door. Like, he stared down Orange Cassidy. Now he has the opportunity to face him for the title.
Yeah, he saved him from the United Empire and ran off Will Ospreay, and then they had they had their thing in the ring, him and Orange.
So for Stat Guy Greg, there's a story for you. But
right.
But the other thing too, like you bring up a very good point about the title is weird if it's on someone like an Orange Cassidy. The idea of this title is that it's supposed to be able to be defended elsewhere, or be defended all over the place, get, go here, go. And when it was on Pac, it was like, all right, cool. That makes sense. Like sometimes Pac's going to be in the UK or whatever and then it goes to Orange Cassidy, and that's a guy who, probably largely is just going to be American based, and you don't foresee him going, a bunch of different places to defend this title. So someone like a Shibata, it does make a little bit more sense, especially if you want to have it build to something at Wrestle Kingdom or build to something at one of these shows. You can have an AEW talent go over to Japan and do that. I mean, that would be the cooler thing. Like, let me be clear. Like, I would love if Shibata won this title. I think it'd be a really, really cool thing if he won that title. I don't know. To me, it's just kind of, I don't know what to approach Shibata like these days, just because of we had the Narita match, and then he's just been on ice ever since then. So it was like, all right, well,
to me, it's very clear that New Japan isn't interested in booking him for whatever reason, and the only reason that makes sense is they don't believe he's healthy enough.
Right.
And I think it's your theory of maybe he is cleared, but New Japan's like, you know what? Fuck that. The blood isn't going to be on our hands.
Not worth the risk. Yeah, not worth the risk.
So maybe we'll put him on Wrestle Kingdom once a year. Maybe we'll let him do grappling exhibitions. Maybe, but we're not going to let this guy wrestle even a part-time schedule because we just don't want anything to do with this because we dodged the bullet the first time. Whereas Tony Khan is like, is he cleared? Yeah. Okay.
Fuck yeah,
get him in
Shibata,
there.
Let's do it.
Yeah. He's cleared. Let's go.
Right.
And it's the same thing like with Saraya. Like she wasn't cleared by WWE, but it's very obvious that's the direction this thing is going with her in AEW. So, You mentioned Kurt Angle with the pill issue and his body falling apart, and they just didn't want the blood on their hands. They went through the same thing with Daniel Bryan, where he had all these independent doctors clearing him, but the WWE doctors wouldn't clear him.
Right.
So, and it was very frustrating for him because he wanted to wrestle, and eventually they did end up clearing him. But so you see these different scenarios all the time. This is why people get second opinions. Doctors, it's not an exact science. Everyone has different. So, maybe he is cleared to AEW's satisfaction, or, it's entirely possible too that they cut some kind of deal with New Japan, and maybe they he does win the title and bring it to Japan, or maybe there's just I don't know, or maybe he just loses. I do know this. He's going to be in Atlantic City on Friday. Mike Tyson's going to be in Atlantic City on Friday. And Atlantic City ticket sales were dreadful. And I talked about this behind the paywall, and I'll talk about it here now. A friend of mine in New Jersey, a friend who you know.
Oh, yeah.
one of his many hustles is that
Of course.
Is that he's a seat filler for events. So he is in the seat filler community.
He's like a professional. Does he have a 9-to-5, or is he just professional?
No, he just has a series of hustles.
God damn it. I'm kind of jealous. It's kind of an awesome life, but
I come from a very seedy underworld of New Jersey. Okay.
Just a hustler. I love it.
It's I'm the one with my shit together.
Yeah, that is a scary thought.
So one of his side hustles, I can't even call it side. One of his life hustles is
one of his life balancing hustles
is a professional seat filler. So he's in the seat filler community, and
how does one not to pull the curtain back in the seat filler community, but how do you become like do you just sign up? Like, is there just an obvious place to sign up? That
there are message boards and websites where these places put out the call for seat fillers. Some of them are. A lot of it is paid.
I used to do taste testing in my high school and college days, so I'm.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's free because they're like, well, you're going to get to see this thing. Some of it's paid. Some of it is you have to pay a couple bucks. Like all of the local sports teams, the Nets, a lot of local.
Nets are going to need a lot of seat fillers over the next couple of years. He's going to get a lot of calls to go to Brooklyn.
A lot of teams up there have it, but you have to pay this nominal fee. You have to pay a $12 fee, and you don't know where your seat's going to be, but they will give you a ticket. But you avoid buying a ticket. You avoid paying all the fees. You just pay $12. But like Broadway shows have seat fill. Anyway, he's a semi-professional seat filler. And what came across all of the local seat filling sites in the last week was the Rampage show from Atlantic City next week. So that should tell you how the ticket sales are going, where they're bringing in seat fillers to fluff things up for television. And I don't know how long they've had Mike Tyson or Shibata booked. I don't know if those are last minute deals just to push a few more tickets or bumped the rating up a little after they did that, that putrid 378,000 viewers last week. But yeah, but here's another thing. Everyone talks about how bad the Rampage lineups are, and, I can't necessarily disagree. And then they announced Shibata for Rampage, and now I see people saying, oh, why would you waste Shibata on Rampage? Okay, well, you cannot have it both ways. Either you want the Rampage lineups to be more interesting and you want things that are good on Rampage, or you don't. Like, you can't rip AEW because you don't like the Rampage lineups and then also rip AEW because you would rather see Shibata on Dynamite. You know what I mean? Like, you can't make both of those arguments. So if you're anyone out there who's making both of those arguments, like that doesn't add up to me. That doesn't make any sense. We'll see how it does. I don't get the sense that Shibata is going to sell thousands of tickets in America. He might push a few more. Same with Tyson. And we'll see what it does for the rating. But I guess we're getting Shibata versus Orange Cassidy in front of a bunch of seat fillers in Atlantic City.
Just seat fillers in Atlantic City. Yeah, it's Katsuyori Shibata, New Japan wrestler Katsuyori Shibata versus Orange Cassidy for the All Atlantic title in Atlantic City with Mike Tyson. The Atlantic City part is just crazy. It's just the perfect setting for Shibata versus Cassidy with Mike Tyson on commentary is in Atlantic City. Yeah, I'm watching it. I haven't watched Rampage in weeks, but fuck, you gotta come on. It's Orange Cassidy and Shibata. It's Shibata. You gotta watch that. So they did get. Yeah, I would be curious what the tickets. What ends up happening. I'm sure WrestleTix or somebody like that will have the update as we get closer to the day of. But yeah, I can imagine a lot of people. A good amount of people probably scramble to try to find tickets for that show. So we'll see.
Well, you can get in the building for $20, and ringside right now is $65. So if you're in New Jersey or Philly or Delaware or Maryland or anywhere in that area, and you want to go see Shibata, you can get on the floor for $65. You can get in the building for $20, or you can infiltrate the seat filling community and possibly
and pay $5 maybe.
I don't know where you're going to sit, but So
I think this is a good step in the direction of making Rampage matter. That's something you and I cannot imagine the last time you and I talked about Rampage. But I mean, the ratings have just plummeted on it. It's still doing good for its time slot, and it's still doing good for the demo, and it's still doing good. But like, I don't having it be a live event too has kind of exacerbated like this. Like, what? It's got to have a little bit more juice to it. It's got to have a little bit more meat on the bone to it. If you're going to be selling these tickets, putting it on television every single week, like it's the TV is whatever. It's fine, but like to sell tickets to it, because people know that it's not an important show to go to, and we saw that in Chicago with the All Out weekend where they were able to sell Dynamite tickets, no problem. They were able to sell All Out tickets, no problem. But then they had that triple package where it was like, you can get Rampage too, and nobody wanted it because nobody wanted to go to Rampage because they knew A, I don't want to go to Rampage, or B, I'm not going to be able to sell this Rampage ticket. And I knew several people that just ate their Rampage tickets. They didn't even go. They had it, tried to sell it, nobody wanted it. It was $1, nobody wanted it, and they just ate it. They said, well, I'm not going there again on Friday or whatever because it's not going to be worth it. So they've entered a weird period with Rampage that they do need to kind of correct in some ways, and I think this is a good step.
Well, I think when they booked all of the live Rampages for the fall, it was anticipation that they would have CM Punk and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Adam Cole and Andrade and Miro and Malachi Black and the whole gang available, in addition to all of the people that in addition to John Moxley and Bryan Danielson and Hangman Page and all the people and Britt Baker and Jade Cargill and all the draws that are currently there. I think that was the plan. But then Brawl Out happened and you lost 4 of those people. Then Miro, injures his knee every other week. And then Malachi Black decides he needs to recalibrate, whatever the fuck that means. And then Adam Cole never comes back from his concussion. And I think that Tony Khan thought he was going to have this.
Kyle O'Reilly gone.
Kyle O'Reilly, another one. He's out for a year. I think Tony thought he was going to have this loaded all-time roster for the fall after all of the turmoil and injuries of the summer. And it was going to be like, okay, now I have the roster that I've built and constructed. Oops, that didn't happen for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, for sure.
And then what you have is, because if you have all of those people I just named, in addition to all of the people you see on Dynamite every week, and MJF is back from his thing, and he thought he was going to have everybody back, okay? And And Samoa Joe, he was off filming, the fucking Sweet Tooth gimmick. And, so you could go down the line. I'm forgetting half the people who weren't around in the summer, right? So he thought he was going to have everybody. He doesn't. What he has now is he doesn't have enough people to split the crew. I figured his plan was going to be, we'll use half of these people on Dynamite every week, and we're going to load up Rampage every week as well. And we're going to take it on the road, and we're going to sell tickets because they're going to get Kenny Omega and CM Punk and the Young Bucks and MJF and all of these people on Rampage. And it's truly going to be a second A show. We're going to sell tickets. We're going to improve the ratings. Then what happens. And they can't afford to split the draws now, and they have to put MJF and Hangman and Mox and Danielson and Britt Baker and Jade Cargill, and they have to put all these people on Dynamite every week to keep Dynamite rolling. And then Rampage never got the lift that he thought he was going to be able to give it in the fall. Even though Moxley has worked Rampage 2 weeks in a row, it's against like Matt Menard, or it's against and this, with Mike Tyson and Shibata, there's efforts, but it isn't, I think, what the intended plan was. The plan was to have all of these people available and to truly load up the Rampages. And for a variety of reasons, they just weren't able to do that. Right. And now, we're right back where we started, and now it's going to be even harder to rebuild Rampage, because now it has reputations what are hard to kick.
Yeah, it's gotten sullied, and I'm doing it's a long time coming, and I'm eventually going to release it, but I did a long kind of study looking at, WCW Thunder and how it kind of went under a similar thing as well, and how the path of WCW Thunder and the path of Rampage are very, very similar in a lot of ways. And like you said, when Thunder was initially, constructed, it was very much like you're saying with Rampage. It was like, we have this absolutely loaded ass roster. We just signed Bret Hart. We're good to go. Turner was gonna, they're all in on it. They want it, and they want more programming from us. So cool, we're gonna do it. And very quickly, it was like, oh shit, we don't have the roster we thought we had. Bret Hart isn't who we thought he was, and it just kind of became, a B and a C show right away, and Tony was very adamant that Rampage is not a B show, and it's not going to be a B show. It's not a B show. It's not a B show. And unfortunately, it kind of has become one. And now that's the problem: is how do you tell the audience, okay, sorry, it's no longer a B show. We promise things matter on Rampage again.
At the beginning, when they were doing 0.2s and above, and they were even touching like 0.24s, 2.25s. If you remember in the very beginning, Rampage was the Punk show. Punk didn't debut on Dynamite for like a month. Like, he was on Rampage every week. He debuted on Rampage. He would do promos on Rampage. I think he wrestled a couple times on Rampage. Mm-hmm. And there was, it really did feel like another A show, and it was doing numbers even beyond the date. First, they had the debut, then the Punk Rampage, I think, was the second week. And then, obviously, with any new show, you wait for it to level off after a month. But even when they leveled off, they were doing – the idea of Rampage doing a 0.2 now is preposterous. Like, they just did a 0.12. You know what I mean? But they were doing that pretty routinely. They were in that neighborhood, and even above. And I remember having a conversation with Tony Khan where I was like, we talked about it, and I was like, I think you can do 0.25s in this time slot with big shows. And they did. Like, at times, they sniffed 0.25, which is, again, you think of that now, and that's preposterous to even consider the show doing that now. Because, and it's harder now because now they have to go above and beyond if they want to repair it because it has the reputation. There's some weeks where I don't even think the Rampage lineup is that bad, and people just fucking destroy it like it's the most unworthy – I will never. Yeah, that's a horrible lineup. This is insulting. I'll never. And I'm like, there's like 2 title matches and a pro. Like, it's not that bad, but the reputation is such. And some weeks it is bad. Some weeks the lineup isn't good. Okay, they have to put legitimate top of the card draws on that show. They have to put legitimate world title matches on that show. They're going to have to do it. I know you don't want to sacrifice them off of Dynamite, but I think they're going to have to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And you might have to eat shit one week, too. You might have a world title match on an episode of Rampage that doesn't do a great rating, and everyone's going to go nuts about it and freak out and eat shit. But you do need to do that to build up that, again, yes, things on this show do matter, and you should try to watch it if you have an opportunity to.
Absolutely. That's how you rebuild it. What you really need to do, you got to put MJF on it for like a month straight. Put him on Rampage instead of Dynamite. But that's such a hard pill to swallow and such a hard
it's tough.
To do. But it would work to rebuild the image of the show. And if they're truly interested in doing that, I think that, and they have to cut the fat. You have to not do Tay Conti versus Madison Rayne.
Right, just no Madison Rayne is probably a good idea.
And listen, if that means there's no women's match on a given week, deal with some nasty tweets and just ignore it. Just because that's part of the problem too. People see this shit and they don't want to watch that. So even if they do turn it on, they're turning it off. And then they're finding a basketball game and they're not coming back. We see the quarter hours. Okay? Cut the fat, load it up, put the stars, and I think that was the plan until all of the shit hit the fan, right. And they didn't have enough stars to do.
The plan was we had an embarrassment of riches. We had 10 legit stars, and then like in 4 months later, you had 5 of them, and then a couple months later, you had 2 of them left or whatever. So it just it got real. So I get it. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I wonder too, like you mentioned that you take some stuff away from Dynamite and give it to Rampage. Do you wait for a TV deal before you do that? Because you don't want to affect Rampage or Dynamite all that much. Or is it important to show that Rampage is worthy when you're shopping this TV deal and say, hey, well, yeah, we have this show and we have this show? Because right now you have one show that you can really, and yeah, Rampage, like we said, delivers good numbers in its time slot or whatever. But you're probably not bringing that up in a deck. A pitch deck, not for a while. You're probably a couple pages down the deck, say. But whereas if it was doing good or like it was at the beginning, then maybe you could say, hey, and just so you know, we also have this product and this thing that does pretty well. But right now, do you want to put all your eggs in Dynamite and get that as good as it could possibly be? Or I don't know. It kind of seems like Dynamite's sort of on cruise control these days. The ratings are very boring for Dynamite every single week, which is
very steady, very good. I think,
despite the show dying and sucking and Ring of Honor is annoying and all that, and people just continue. Same people watch every. But the growth isn't quite there yet, and that's
the Ring of Honor takes are the most annoying thing. I really look. I'm not going to tell people what should and shouldn't bother them or what they should or shouldn't enjoy when they watch their wrestling shows, but I genuinely cannot wrap my head around why that bothers people. I do not know why letters on title belts bother people. It's all AEW stars that hold these titles. So what the fuck is the difference whether it's still Chris Jericho and Daniel Garcia and FTR and Samoa Joe that's holding these titles. So what's the problem? Because it says ROH on the belt, like you have some kind of fucking mind melt when that happens. I can't enjoy this because it says ROH on the belt instead of who. I don't understand why this bothers people. I can't wrap my head around it. But getting back to the other point, I think in order to fix Rampage, you would have to borrow from Dynamite. But I'm not saying that I would do that. Let me be clear. I wouldn't fuck with Dynamite in order to fix Rampage. I would wait to get some of those stars back and kind of just accept that my plan this fall got foiled due to injury and suspension and backstage fights and everything else. And I would, just live with it because I don't think you want to damage your true A show. And, do I think taking MJF off of Dynamite, putting him on Rampage for a month would help Rampage? I do, but I also think it would hurt Dynamite and I wouldn't want to do that. So it's what you would have to do, but it's not what I would do. I would wait to get people back and before I started putting that sort of effort into Rampage. That to answer your question, I guess, because that's what you asked me before I got sidetracked with the ROH thing, which I still don't understand why that bothers people.
It's a thing that
the Jericho story is super interesting. Like
it's an asshole that they bought this TV property or they bought this property and Chris Jericho's just being an asshole about it. Yeah,
he's
got their title on. I mean,
he's the sports entertainer who is the antithesis of what ROH is all about, and he wants to destroy ROH. That's a good story. I don't understand why. Why does that bother people? If he was doing that, seriously, if he was doing this with an AEW belt, you'd like it, but because he's doing it with an ROH belt, where it actually makes more sense, you don't like it. I cannot wrap my head around that. But I don't know. I don't get why it annoys people, but whatever. And I don't think it's having the effect on business that these people claim it is because their ratings are steady.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah, even this week's was against the World Series and stuff was pretty damn solid. Number 3, I think, in 18 to 49.
And they finished the same place they always do. They
right, it's kind of boring at this point, but
they did a tick lower in total viewership. They did a tick lower in demo going up against a no-hitter in a World Series game, which means that the World Series game, in theory, held viewers from beginning to end because of the drama of whether or not they were going to complete the no-hitter. So, and the usual 2 NBA games. and they went up against the stronger of the two NBA games, the Celtic Cavalier game, which did the bigger number. So, yeah, I thought they held up well. They basically do the same number every week or in the same range every week. When the World Series is over, they'll be back up to they'll do just over 1 million or just under 1 million and around a 0.232, 0.33, right back in that range like they were doing, and they're really just still doing now. So, Dynamite obviously is strong, but yeah, Rampage. Now, I don't know whether Turner or AEW think that these Rampage numbers are a red flag or a pressing issue. For all I know, that this might be the floor of what they find acceptable. They might be impressed with the DVR numbers, which Meltzer claims are the highest out of all of the wrestling shows, which makes sense because people are watching Rampage over the weekend. When they wake up
I was a Saturday morning Rampage person for a long, long time.
It seems like a lot of people are.
Yeah, Friday nights are, if I'm home in the winter, I'm usually home, but in the summer, I'm never home on a Friday night. So it was always like, I'd wake up at 7 a.m. and watch it on DVR or whatever. That's how every single, weekend would go for me for a while. And now, as of late, I've just kind of, I still record it, but it just kind of hits delete right away. And I haven't watched it in a while, but or I'll jump in and read some recaps or watch some clips on YouTube or whatever. But no, in its early days, I was an avid Saturday morning, and so I'm sure many people were that way.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Let's talk about Jeff Jarrett here. To the surprise of everybody, Jeff Jarrett made an appearance on this week's episode of Dynamite. Tony Khan would later welcome Jarrett to AEW with the Jarrett is All Elite graphic and name him the quote new AEW Director of Business Development. He said, I look forward to expanding the at AEW live events calendar in 2023, plus in future years with JJ. I don't know this guy's name. I think it's Raphael is this guy's name, but it's his Twitter account. Mookie Ghana. So that's what this guy's been doing for the last couple of years? Because all of a sudden, the guy was doing WrestleNomics and then poof, off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
His work for AEW,
emails. Stop picking up the phone. Wouldn't answer
yeah.
emails. I don't know what his deal is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I ask him about Observer Hall of Fame audio. Nothing.
Too busy big time in us.
Too busy. It's actually the opposite in many cases.
Yeah.
I've talked to him a lot, but not in the ways that you think, in dumb ways, not like give me the scoops, pal ways, in the dumbest ways possible.
Yeah. Last week when remember the Yankee playoff game was in a rain delay and people weren't sure what was going to happen with Dynamite. I remember asking him and, he gets back to me and he goes, oh, well, I talked to George Steinbrenner and we're going to work. I'm like, George Steinbrenner has been dead for 20 years.
right. That's most of the conversations.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Jeff Jarrett. So apparently he's got some office position here.
I guess so. So yeah, Mookie, Chris Harrington. I think this guy Raphael is let me make sure I get his actual name here. The guy and Jeff Jarrett, JJ as Tony Khan calls him. I guess they're already on that level. They call him JJ, or he was running out of characters there. I look forward to expanding the AEW live events calendar in 2023, plus in future years with JJ, Raphael, Mookie Ghana, and our entire great AEW team. So Jarrett obviously was last with WWE as the company's a senior vice president of live events. So now he is the AEW director of business development. So Jeff Jarrett wins again, fails up again. The man just is the cockroach of professional wrestling. Just will never ever go away and still just keeps getting new jobs and somehow seemingly better jobs or at least linear jobs. Senior vice president of live events is probably a better job than director of business development, I guess, sort of, I assume. But at worst, this is a linear job here. But he's got an office position, presumably an on-camera role. I have no idea about that, but we do know he does have the backstage position. I thought there's some interesting things there, and I wanted to look in deeper into that before we kind of just laugh about Jeff Jarrett. I look forward to expanding the AEW live events calendar in 2023. Do you read that the same way I do? That house shows, touring?
I mean, how else would you expand the live event calendar if you're not adding live events?
Right. And I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me, but I saw a lot of people be like, "Oh, wait a minute, is that what they're talking about?" It's like, well, yeah, I think.
Well, what else would they be talking about? Right. How else do you expand it unless you get another show? But who knew that doing sold shows in minor league baseball stadiums that were moderately successful at best.
A way to, right.
Would parlay into two jobs handling live events for the two biggest companies in the world 10 years later.
After having a run where after founding a company with your father on the premises of we'll just tape everything in one building so we don't have to spend any money.
Yeah, and after running a company that has struggled for 20 years to run house shows successfully. Right. How does this guy do it?
I don't know. It's like, we talked about it when he was hired as the WWE's SVP of live events. Like, I can't think of a guy worse in wrestling to hire for that job than Jeff Jarrett. Like,
TNA hasn't been able to sell a house show ticket in 2 decades. He does these sold minor league shows that were not a success for the Global Force gimmick. I don't understand, but good for him.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? The guy interview. He must interview great. He must be the best interview. We could all learn from Jeff Jarrett's interviews and just something that he does to keep getting these positions, and just the ultimate good guy to hang out with. I have no idea what it is, but I guess he talked me into buying all that Global Force gold. So he obviously it's rising in value, man. Once the dollar falls, you're gonna be raking in the dough, man. When that dollar collapses, and we're right on the precipice, Joe. You're gonna be riding high with that Global Force gold. So
there's a reason I held on to all my Global Force gold. It's a long-term investment, sir. Yeah, I don't know how he does it, but I know that the angle last night rocked. I don't know what you thought of it. I thought it was cool as hell.
I thought it was a cool angle, but I don't really want. I hope that Jarrett shows up like once every 9 months or something. Is that I don't want him on my television regularly.
I think they're doing I think his gimmick based on his promo, where he talked about his family history, he made it a point to emphasize the word impact, and then he kept running down the AEW fans. And he brought back Slapnuts. If you're not happy about that, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't think we need Slapnuts again.
I think we need Slap.
Nobody needed Slapnuts in 2000.
Let me tell you something.
Don't need Slapnuts.
That might be my first wrestling shirt. I might get a Slapnuts shirt if they put one out, and I'll wear it on the show. We'll do our first video podcast. I think that based on his promo, I think and the fact that he's aligned with Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal, is he's going to be this. And I love that he's the last outlaw. I love that he's the last outlaw.
The look is great. I will not say anything against the look. The look rocks.
You know, he went to Game Changer and just fucking
punked them so badly.
Punked Effie and never came back. And then
ultimate worker there. Incredible.
Yeah. You know, he beats Effie and he's like, you know what? I'm good. I don't think we're gonna
rematch. No, I'm good. I don't think so. Thanks though.
And then he does the thing for the Conrad verse with Flair, and
which he fucking rocks. By the way, for
those angles rocked.
For people that did not see those, I get how you might be like, Jeff Jarrett, absolute dork. He was the glue that kept that entire thing together. He is so good. In those promo packages and those videos. My daddy never liked you anyway. I love it. Just blooding up Ric Flair with those good punches, those good Memphis punches. Rocked.
Yeah, it was excellent. And he's aligned with Lethal again. So what I'm getting at is I think with the promo, it seems like he's going to be this bitter heel who is jealous of the success of AEW because he was never able to attain that success with all of his different ventures over the years, you know, mainly TNA. So I think that's going to be the direction and why he has surrounded himself with all of these TNA people and Cole Carter for some reason. I don't know what's
and
up with
also
that,
Cole Carter's there too.
Yeah.
Man, did you want to crawl into the biggest hole ever when that guy masked? And it was like, you could hear eyelashes like falling on the ground. Nothing, zero, not even a laugh, not even a clap, not even a modicum of a boo, just fucking nothing.
I am 100% positive NWO Sting Jeff Farmer would have gotten more of a reaction.
Absolutely,
than Cole Carter did.
Absolutely.
And he hasn't been on American television in 20 years. You know, Jeff Farmer he worked as recently as right before the pandemic.
He worked at a GCW show, right? Didn't he? He did one of
the clusterfuck. I think.
Yeah. No, he's still kind of. Yeah, I forget. Has he worked since then? I don't think he has since then. The last time I checked, which believe it or not, I do check. Oh my god, I forgot the match. Do you remember the match that he had?
He did the clusterfuck.
No. The match he had before the pandemic.
No, I don't know what you're referring to.
Completely forgot about this, but now I'm remembering. Okay, it's gonna loop into something later. February 28th, 2020, just weeks before, a couple days before the pandemic rages over the world. Super J, he recreated his Super J character, Joe. Not Super J Cast, Voice Wrestling Podcast Network. Super J, he teamed with one Keiji Muto to face Tetsumi Fujinami and Yoshiaki Fujiwara in the Keiji Muto Produce Pro Wrestling Masters show at Korakuen Hall.
Are we sure that was him and that's not a cage match mix-up?
Hey.
Are we sure that was him?
You know what? I cannot confirm or deny it.
Now that I think about it, are we sure that was him in the clusterfuck?
I cannot confirm or deny that. I will tell you that they list him doing Pro Wrestling Masters shows in 2018 and 2019 as well. Yeah. I will admit that I did not watch the that show, so I can't tell you for sure if that was one Jeff Farmer, but very curious. That is maybe slightly dubious.
Either way, I don't accept Cole Carter as my new fake Sting. I I don't accept it. Tony 2 Stacks of Dimes Donato, whatever his fucking name is. I can't.
All right, do you trust Gerard?
Yeah, I trust Gerard.
Co-host of the Emerald Flow Show on the Voice Wrestling Podcast. Well, he says it was him, so.
All right, well, if it was really him, then he can work. You could have gotten the real fake Sting.
Yeah, get fake Sting.
The real fake Sting, if that makes any sense. Like the real deal. The NWO Sting. Who, back in that era, whenever I would get a pro wrestling video game, I would immediately go into Create a Wrestler and create fake Sting because it was easy to make because all of Sting's parts were there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right?
And it wasn't, and he was in Revenge, so you were good to go there. He was
good to go there, yeah.
Yeah.
But any game that had Sting already, you can make fake Sting and just give him shitty attributes and and slightly different size.
Attributes. Speak for yourself, sir.
Yeah, and then you've got your first created wrestler. The other thing I used to do is make Kamala 2, the Botswana Beast. Because, and then just make them shorter than the Kamala.
Really inventive creator wrestlers.
Yeah, I wasn't always the most, I didn't have the wildest imagination as a kid, Rich. You have to understand. So these are the creator wrestlers I would make. It gets you started, though. They get you started. And
learn the menus, learn the menu system, that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's fair. But
you could have got the real deal here is my point. You didn't need Tony Stack of Dimes 2/4 Donato. You could have gotten the real fake Sting. But no, that was humiliating for him when he took that off. And I think the only person in the building who knew who he was Excalibur. I'm not even sure Taz knew.
Oh, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think Taz did. Yeah. So I believe I've been corrected that he was not in WCW NWO Revenge. He was in World Tour. So
no, you know what? Was that the Swink again?
It wasn't the Swink this time. So.
Who was it correcting you this time?
Antox was correcting me in the chat.
Well, thanks for that correction.
Yeah,
we'll be sure to edit that in the final cut.
Anyway, there we go.
Same era, same developer. Easy.
Oh, yeah. And the best part about the World Tour, so far, the World Tour Sting is it was Sting in quotes. It was like...
Sting in quotes,
yeah. He was like the same, you know what I mean? I remember as a kid, I wasn't that, I didn't watch that much wrestling when I first started playing World Tour or whatever. I was watching a little bit. I just was like, I don't understand this. I was like all these piss pants that go crazy when there's not a video package. I was like, why is there 2 Stings? I don't know why there's 2 Stings or whatever. Eventually I learned because I'm not an idiot, and then it was fine. But yeah, when I first played, I was like, so there's Sting and then there's Sting. With the question marks. I don't get it. I don't understand this. But I eventually would learn. So.
Do you remember when he was the Cobra?
Of course I remember the Cobra. Yeah.
Sergeant Craig Pittman, right? That whole storyline.
The Cobra, yeah. Of course I remember. Yeah, Jeff Farmer, he, not great worker, but got jobs for a while. Had a great run in New Japan. I mean, God, he worked New Japan for years.
Yeah.
Years into like the mid 2000s, I want to say.
Yeah, well, when you innovate a winning gimmick, like fake Sting,
the company was dying at the time. But hey, you know what? That's fine. I want to say as well. At one point in 2000 Nitro, he returned to Nitro, but not as fake Sting, but as like the Super J character. I want to. I remember watching that at one point, or going back and reading that, just thinking how funny it was. And I don't even remember if they addressed that he was NWO Sting, because I don't think they wanted, because he was Super J at that time. You know what I mean? He wasn't the same guy, but yeah, no, I definitely Definitely remember Cobra from the days.
I won't be firing up Peacock to fact check that.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't watch
I'll take your word for it.
Some random 2000 era Nitro, which was pretty terrible. But yeah, they could have gotten the. I just don't. Man, I don't know this a bitter TNA stable. I don't know if I need a TNA stable and ROH stable in the company at the same time. I don't know, or I don't know.
If it's just a bitter Jeff Jarrett.
A bitter Jeff Jarrett's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I like the
last
Outlaw.
Though. He's going to start politicking, though. And he's Jeff Jarrett. He's got the ear. He's going to find a way to... He's going to win a title or something. I mean, I don't know.
Well, what title are we talking?
Could be any. It's Jeff Jarrett, man.
Listen, don't threaten me with a good time. What title are we talking
Jeff
about?
Jarrett. He could be world champion by the end of the year. He's got a way. I mean, if anybody could do it this year, it'd be Jeff Jarrett, right?
Well, pitch me the angle.
No, I don't want to. No, I have no angle for you.
You can't tell me at the end of that segment when we got the that you didn't feel a little... Yeah.
The best, worst theme song of all time. Like, the worst song ever. When it plays, you're about to get some fucking horrific 25-minute TNA main event where there's going to be 9 run-ins and 3 ref bumps, and it's going to end with somehow, some way, Jeff Jarrett with those 2 fingers in the air holding up the TNA title. You're like, God damn it. What the fuck? How did we do it again? But it rules too. But it sucks, and it's like grating, and you want to just, I hate it. But it also rocks. It's so good too.
As he noted, 12-time world champion.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. 2-time Hall of Famer. And you can't tell me you didn't feel a little tingle when you heard that theme music at the end of the segment. I know I did. I mean, I'm all about this.
I don't know if it was a tingle.
I felt the tingle. I felt a little tingle. It was exciting, I have to say.
I don't know that we need to be like retreading total nonstop action on AEW. I don't think we need
we'll see. Maybe he can bring in Wildcat with a K, Chris Harris. Maybe he can bring in James Storm. Sorry about your damn luck. You know?
I mean, hey, it'd be great. I'll say this as somebody who hosts a TNA retrospective podcast on this network, Voice of Wrestling Podcast Network. You've got to be kidding me. It'd be great business for them. So you know what?
Yeah,
you're right. I'm starting to see it your way a little bit. Like you sometimes take Phil's side in this case because he makes us a lot of money, and I'm starting to see your side here. Is that podcast is be doing big numbers if Wildcat Chris Harris shows up and
I mean, I don't know what T.O. and Puppet are up to.
So you want like peak like what 2005? Like what era of NWA TNA do you really want him to dig into?
That depends. Can we get Cheeks? Is Cheeks still out there? Or I don't know. It all depends. We can't get Abyss. He's got his comfy little WWE job.
Oh yeah, he's still there. Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
Johnny Devine.
Which means,
you want some
means
Johnny
of
Devine
course,
showing up? Yeah.
No Joe Parks Esquire either. Joe Parks Esquire. He is Chris Parks. Joe Parks is the
Joseph Park is the character. Yeah, he is actually. Yeah, right.
Well, what do you mean, These are 2 different men. What are you saying?
That's right. Jerry Lynn is going to have some weird allegiances right now. He's not going to be sure to who to go with here.
I don't know what you're implying. Those are brothers, sir. So I don't know. I enjoyed the segment last night. Could it go off the rails? Sure.
Yes. I have a worry. I want to say I enjoyed it in the moment, but I have a ton of worry that I really don't want.
Listen.
I don't want much more Jeff Jarrett.
Peak Jeff Jarrett and his grab a guy by the hair and do a walk and brawl. Everyone agrees that sucked. Okay? But if Jeff Jarrett wants to show up as the last outlaw and fucking brain people with balsam wood guitars, I don't have a problem with it.
And he does. I will tell you for sure he does.
And then mocking Darby Allin because he's laying in a literal pool of blood. That fucking rocked. I don't know how people claim they didn't enjoy this. I mean, he's like, lay in that pool of blood, son, with blood pouring out of Darby Allin's head. That segment ruled. I don't know where it's going. Maybe it's going somewhere I don't want it to, but for now, I enjoyed it. I got to be honest.
Yeah, I would love it if he just like popped up every couple of like. I don't know that I love the idea of him. He did say he's waging war on aid, so yeah, I do. But hopefully that's all bravado. And yeah, I would like if he's just kind of a guy that's running this like weird little stable or whatever, a part of this little stable. That's fine. There's some value in that. But yeah, I don't know that we need to be stoking the flames of total nonstop action nostalgia here. I just don't know that there's a whole lot of benefit to that. But in the moment. I'll admit it was kind of cool, and that wee woo did get me a little bit. So,
yeah, love the wee woo.
It just makes me laugh. Jeff Jarrett just makes me laugh anytime I see that guy on my television. I just laugh. How do you not? He's the best part about it. Somebody was like, "How does he keep doing this?" And I was like, I don't know if it's that he has no shame or he doesn't have any self-awareness, because I think he has self-awareness. I don't know if it's and I don't know if it's that he has no shame. He just like I don't know. He's just Jeff Jarrett. He's just eternal. He just is always there. He's the last outlaw. He's the last pro wrestler. He just won't go away. And he's in great shape. Arms looking good.
I know. I enjoyed the segment. I'm taking it week by week here. You know, maybe it does go off the rails. I don't know. There's a chance. But for now, you know, I'm enjoying it.
All right, so that is Jeff Jarrett. That is Shibata and Orange Cassidy with Mike Tyson on commentary this week on AEW Dynamite. That is all coming up. We'll see what happens next with Jarrett, and we'll see what happens Friday with Dynamite, or with Rampage, I should say. But speaking of Dynamite, I should say, flagship patreon.com/voices of wrestling. Good time to tell you about what we have going on there. You just a couple hours before we went live here on the Flagship released your weekly Thursday Dynamite reviews. Much anticipated every single week. People live and die by the Thursday Dynamite reviews. Great audio, about an hour or so, maybe 45 minutes to an hour every single week, recapping the Dynamite the day after it happens. That is available on our $5 tier. We also have a $10 tier that gets you live Flagship podcasts, including this one right here. You can join, listen live, also join the No Dopes chat room, which people love to do, a very active chat room every single week. And a lot of other really fun stuff going on the Patreon right now. I'm doing my Goldberg 173-1 series. I just released Chapter 4 covering October 1998. For Goldberg, including the disaster that was Halloween Havoc and it not being aired on the pay-per-views and the pay-per-view cable companies cutting it off so they had to show it on Nitro. And yeah, it got good ratings, but it ended up pissing off all the cable companies. It was Nitro's last win in the Monday Night Wars. But we're mostly talking about what Goldberg is doing, where he's going, and what the future is going to hold for him as we get down to the December Starrcade match with Kevin Nash, where he's going to lose the streak and how everything built up to that. So that's been a lot of fun. We just did October. We'll do November this month, and obviously December. We'll cap off the series in December at the end of that month. You also have, I wanted you to talk a little bit about this, 2 written things on the Patreon. You have your review roulette and also Lanza Reviews, the New Japan World TV title tournament first round. But more than anything, I want you to talk about the review roulette this week, which was just an all-timer. As you, for some reason, went back to the world of World Wrestling Entertainment and watched NXT and Level Up.
Yeah, 1 week after saying that I was never watching WWE again, the very first written review I do is 2 WWE shows. So that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, the review roulettes where I review random television shows that we don't talk about on the Flagship. I did this week NXT and NXT Level Up, and I hated NXT so much that I had a second meltdown after the first meltdown that we had when we reviewed Halloween Havoc. I had a second meltdown in this review where it is such a scathing review that I had to edit it to make it more palatable for the masses.
You had to have your wife look at it to make sure that it was suitable for public consumption, correct?
She read the review and she knows nothing about wrestling, and she said, this has to go, you can't say this. And so I took her advice, and it's still a pretty brutal review, and you know, for people who don't know, when I do the reviews behind the paywall for these shows, it's never this match by match. Here's the moves that happened. Here's who won. Here's what I thought. I think people get enough of that, and that's boring. So what I do is just I write a few paragraphs on how the show made me feel and what I thought about the show. Sometimes I'll talk about specific matches or specific angles, but what really ends up happening is I end up writing little mini essays on wrestling. that things that the shows make me think about. And, and in the case of nearly every time I review a WWE show these days, it usually ends with me, ranting about the product and how much I hate it, which was kind of the case this week with the NXT review. And then I looked at this week's Level Up as well. So that's there, but you never know what you're going to get. With the NWA pay-per-view coming up, the next time I do this, it'll probably be NWA Power and NWA USA. Sometimes I do Rampage. Sometimes when MLW comes back, I've done them before, but they just haven't run in so long. Impact. You never know what you're going to get. It's they're written reviews of shows that we don't typically talk about here. Also this week, I put up a written review of the 8 first-round matches from the New Japan Television Title Tournament. So those are traditional match reviews. If you read my match reviews before, you know my style. And, just recapping the whole first rounds, complete with the star ratings, and all that, including the outstanding Tomohiro Ishii Ren Narita match, which was easily the best match of the first round. Although I really liked David Finlay versus Yoshinobu Kanemaru too. So that's up behind the paywall as well. And we're going to talk about the New Japan Television Title tournament a little bit later in the show, but all the written content, all the written reviews, that could be found on the $10 tier. Audio and everything else, all of Rich's seasonal projects.
Working my way through Halloween Havocs right now. We're just about done. I just released 1995 a couple days ago. That was the ridiculous monster truck battle thing with Hogan and the Giant. I have 96, 97, 98, 99, and 2000 all pretty much ready to go. Just kind of have to sit down and record those. But those will be up very, very soon, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do for November and December as well. But yeah, the Halloween Havoc's happening. Halloween, obviously has passed, but a few more days of them coming through, and we'll definitely make it work.
Yeah, and obviously the Thursday Dynamite review every week is also on the $5 tier. We got the NFL Intelligentsia going every week with myself and Jesse Collins. For people who listen to that, no show next week. Just giving people the heads up, there will be no NFL Intelligentsia Week 9 recap. It's going to be very hard for me not to do a show if the Rams beat Brady again, but there will be no show next week because Jesse's not available. Jesse's going to Dynamite, and we record on Wednesday nights. So no NFL Intelligentsia next week, but there will be the return of the College Football Intelligentsia next week as I bring back Tyler Forness. That's not a weekly show, but we're going to do a couple of those per year. And since the first bowl standings came out, the playoff standings came out, we're going to do a show this week, after the second set of playoff standings come out. So no NFL Intelligentsia this week. There will be a College Football Intelligentsia. And the people who listened to that show the first time really enjoyed it because Tyler is a wealth of knowledge with the college football. He has 19 different media jobs covering college football, so he knows what he's talking about. So that will fill in for the NFL Intelligentsia this week. Then the NFL Intelligentsia will return presumably for the rest of the season, maybe with a week off here or there. The college football show, we do plan on doing one more right before the playoff and right before the bowls. So you probably get 2 more of those moving forward. And for some of the off-topic content and the NFL Intelligentsia every week from here on out, in addition to all the other content. And, of course, this month is going to be Full Gear. So I'm sure we're going to do a Full Gear Instant Reaction live. If we don't do the Full Gear Instant, I'm sure we'll have some kind of Full Gear content.
I think we're good. Yeah, let me double check on that date, but I can't 100% confirm it right now just because you never know what life is going to do. But I think I'd say 99% confirmed. November 19th, I'm around. I got nothing going on. Who's got anything going on November 19th? Come on.
Yeah. So I guess Tyler acting like you just found out in the chat. I thought we discussed this. I thought you knew. So anyway, we should be able to do the Full Gear Instant Reaction live. So that's this month as well. And then December, this is looking way ahead, but maybe Final Battle, we can do something too in terms of, and of course, with Full Gear in November and Final Battle in December, we will have the media call audio up with my written out. See, a lot of sites will just give you the call audio itself.
Not us. Nope. Got to go farther.
See, I'll give you the written analysis and my takes and what I feel are the biggest takeaways from the media calls before the AEW and ROH pay-per-views as well. So a lot of content coming, plus the Hall of Fame content is coming.
Right. That is coming very soon. If you want to get some Hall of Fame content, I did my primer episode where I go over the entire ballot, what people got last year, what who's new to the ballot, new rules to the ballot, and the Hall of Fame content is coming very, very soon. We're working out the back end of that, trying to schedule stuff. It's always difficult to try to schedule Joe and I, and then it's also difficult to try to schedule another person. But hopefully we'll have some clarity on that, and hopefully in the next week or two, you guys are going to get some Hall of Fame content coming. But yeah, we're getting ready. We're getting ramped up for it. It's just a matter of kind of cobbling it all together, getting everybody scheduled, figuring out who's going to do what. But we have some interesting names, some fun people that we're going to talk to in the next couple of weeks. So definitely look out for that. And the ballot is due November 15th, but we usually don't do all of the ballot before November 15th. Like we can still talk about the Hall of Fame all the way through November. It does not need to all be done by the 15th.
Dave doesn't announce the results for months, so we can do Hall of Fame content even after the due date for the ballot.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people say, well, they're due the 15th. Yeah, but we don't have to fit. We're not doing the show for voters of the Hall of Fame. Like, yeah, some voters might listen to it or whatever, but we're doing it more for you, the random person that's just saying, hey, I'm interested in learning about old wrestling, or I'm interested in learning about, these people or whatever. That's ultimately what the point is. It'd be a really boring show if we just sat there and said, well, yeah, I'm going to vote for this guy, and I'm going to vote for that guy, I'm going to vote for that guy. All right, see it. Like, no, it's not about that. It's about arguing through all these names, discussing all the names. Ultimately, it doesn't matter, who we vote for or who gets in or who doesn't get in. It's just going through old wrestlers and talking about them and their history and their backgrounds. And yeah, ultimately it is, do they deserve to make this Hall of Fame? But you can do that audio November 20th. It doesn't need to be November 15th.
So yeah, we can't really announce anything yet, but there's a good chance there'll be some first-time guests that we've never had before to come on and talk Hall of Fame, because we do like to mix it up. And, we'll have some past guests as well, but I think there's a good chance we'll have at least one first-time guest. And so the Hall of Fame shows are coming, AEW pay-per-view, ROH pay-per-view, the off-topic shows. This is a really good time to get in because there really is a ton of content coming.
Yeah, I'll always do. You mentioned too the NFL and college football intelligentsia. I always do an NBA intelligentsia too, right before the Christmas Day games to kind of catch you up with what's going on in the NBA and what the teams are, what you should watch on Christmas Day or whatever. So yeah, plenty that coming down the pike too. If you need even more reason to possibly subscribe to flagshippatreon.com, patreon.com/voices of wrestling, voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon, VOWretro.com too. You can get you there as well. Whatever way you get there, $5 tier and $10 tier to do that. But
I will also be posting some very tasteful nudes of myself very soon.
Yes, very soon. We also rate your penis. If you just send us 30, what's Mandy charging for that thing? $35? Not enough. I'm gonna need a little more.
Listen. Now you've done it, because we're gonna get penises in our email now. You know that, right? Like we're definitely gonna get. It's gonna be loaded with cocks that we now have to rate. So how do you plan on?
Well, we're gonna have to rate. I'll rate them. Like, I mean,
give a fair and honest rating.
Yeah, I'll just say, like, I don't know. Yeah,
all right. Well, Rich is doing dick ratings. So
for the record, for money, I'm doing it
right.
A little bit more than Mandy. I need. That's a way too low rate for her.
$35.
That's a lot. You're getting a lot of dicks for $35.
Well, right? I think that's why it's $35. She wants to get.
But that's too many. We've talked about it. It's like the cameo thing. You got to price it out. You got to price out where you want to get. How many do you really want?
There's a balance for sure.
Yeah, and $35 is not it.
Too
low.
Yeah,
no, it's not it.
They would definitely pay more to get Mandy Rose to look at their penis.
Right.
So she's probably undervaluing this service.
Certainly. I mean, she's going to make out like a bandit. She's just going to have to look at a lot of dicks. But
a lot of dicks. You're saying. See, I think what you're saying is she would get all of these people would probably pay like 80.
Right. Oh, they pay 80 to 100 easily to have Mandy Rose look at their dick and rate it.
Right.
At 35, you're opening up to like troll people that are just like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to send it like $35. That's easy. I'll do that. I think you do also have to be a subscriber to whatever. So I guess it's actually
probably,
like another $50 on top of that. So maybe that is the right price point. I mean, far be it for me to tell her how to price point her dick rating. So,
right.
She's going to be making a lot more money than me in November, December. That's all I know. So.
See, I don't even think they necessarily care about the rating. They just want to know that she looked at their penis.
Yes. Unfortunately, how many of those are, like, because she's dating Tino Sabatelli, right, or Sabatello, or whatever the hell.
I don't know who she's dating.
I think that's who she's. I think and that guy is gonna have to look at a lot because she is just gonna say like, Tino, I got too many. Like, you're gonna need to write in my voice, and that guy is gonna have to. I don't know.
I think that.
Are they gonna be earnest? I hope they're like earnest reviews of like all right, here's the thing. I.
Yeah, if they send you like a dick pic of them, and they're like sitting on the toilet with their Fruit of the Looms down around their ankle, that's a horrible dick pic, right? You're going to rate them low. Now, if they take a shot with some good lighting and a good angle and it's a full-on 100%er, you know what I mean? A good 100%er boner, then you're going to rank them higher. Is that what you're saying, Rich?
I think so. Yeah, I just thought, are they going to be earnest? Yeah. Like, are they going to really sit down and be like, all right, hold on a minute, let's see. All right, well, that's pretty good. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, that's looking good.
I'm asking you because you're going to be rating these penises.
Oh, so I'm rating them. Yeah, no, absolutely. Right. Give me tasteful ones here. Let put some lighting into it.
Well, like how tasteful can a dick pic be?
Well, no, very tasteful. You can make there's a difference right there. You mentioned right there.
Right.
A room with some
no toilet
lighting.
pics.
Yeah, no toilet pics. Come on, what are you doing?
And be well groomed.
Manscaped should still be sponsoring us because it'd be a great way to get some more Manscaped razors sold. But they don't want to sponsor us anymore, so screw them.
They don't even mention
the competitive.
Edit that out. Go get a Schick handheld razor,
right?
And clean that area up. Get rid of those cock sideburns. You guys know what I'm talking about. Don't let those cock sideburns get out of control. You got to get them right off of there, off of that shaft. Otherwise Rich is going to give you a low rating.
A scathing review, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad you brought up Mandy Rose, not for her dick ratings that she does. What is she? Does she have OnlyFans or something else?
It's something else. It's not. Yeah, it's not. I forget what it is, but
okay. So anyway, I'm glad you brought her up because I want to propose this to you. I contend. And I would like to know if you have any challengers for this title that I'm bequeathing to her.
Okay.
I contend that Mandy Rose's current NXT Women's Championship title reign, which is now, I believe, over 1 year or approaching 1 year.
I hope so. They had a 1-year celebration. It better be.
Yeah. I contend, Rich Craich, that this is the worst major title reign to last 1 year or longer in modern professional wrestling history. I cannot think of a title reign that lasted 1 year or longer as the cutoff point for a long title reign that has been worse and less effective with poorer match quality than this one. Less interesting, any way you want to describe it.
Yeah.
The matches stink.
How many matches has she even had? Off the top of my head, I can think of. I'm trying to think of ones that if I had to close and you told me name every Mandy Rose NXT Women's title defense, I think I remember one against Roxanne Perez. And then I remember the Alpha Fire match that happened last week or 2 weeks ago, and I don't even know if I remember who she beat for the title. So yeah, I not going good at the beginning here.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I have the matches here.
Oh, the unification title match. That one. I forget who. Oh, because they put Blair Davenport in there because they didn't want Santamoro to take the fall. So yeah, that one of course too. Yes. So that's 3 out of I don't know however many. So.
Well, I mean, who could forget the Wendy Chu match at In Your House in June of 2022?
Oh, yeah.
The Zoe Stark match at Heat Wave on NXT 2.0. Look, the matches have been, as we've obviously pointed out here, not memorable at all. They haven't been good. The title reign, she hasn't gotten over. She's been the most pushed act along with Braun Breaker in NXT 2.0 since the very day that they rolled out the brand, and the show is still doing .13s. Nobody cares about either of these people. They can't get anybody to watch this show. I cannot think of a worse long-term title reign than the one that she is currently having with this title. She is undoubtedly the worst NXT Women's Champion of all time. Look at the lineage of that title and the title reigns and the people who have held it, and you can probably remember more matches from some of those title reigns in like 2017 than you can of her title reign, which is going on and is happening right now in real time. It's been horrendous. The best match of her title reign, according to Cage Match, the Inmates of Cage Match, Rich, is 6.77 That is the three-way with Miko Satomura.
Right, it also featured two very good pro wrestlers, and also Mandy Rose was there, yes.
The only one you remembered, by the way. And the Wrestling Observer newsletter gave that 3.25 stars. That is the high watermark for this title reign. Of course, we just saw the awful Halloween Havoc match with Alba Fire. That's sitting at 4.12 on the old cage match. Zoe Stark match.
So we reviewed Halloween Havoc last week, right?
Yes, we did.
So they went to a haunted house. They then continued the match in the ring. And then I remember when I watched Halloween Havoc, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mandy Rose defeated Alba Fire clean in the middle of the ring at Halloween Havoc.
That's right.
She did. 22, right? Okay.
Yeah. She won the match, yeah.
Okay. So on NXT this week,
right,
during the 1-year celebration, out of a plume, a very small plume of smoke, emerged Alba Fire to restart the feud with Mandy Rose, correct?
Yeah, apparently she wants to go shot.
This is the company that tells good stories, right? This is
great stories.
Okay, all right. Carry on.
Yeah, so if you look at her 2022, which has been the majority of this title reign, obviously, she's got some television matches, and maybe not necessarily title matches, that are like rated under 3 with the dreaded bright red numbers on cage match.
Yeah, never good. Never good.
Yeah, a match with Nikki Lyons that's sitting at 1.89. A match versus Saray sitting at 2.56. I mean, she's just been brutal. And the thing is, they're pushing her so hard, and she's the focus of the show. She hasn't improved at all in the ring. She hasn't improved at all on the microphone. She hasn't gotten over at all because the show still doesn't draw any ratings. I really believe that all told, this is the worst long-term title reign. Major title now. Don't start digging up some title from your random indies if you're a listener. I don't care. I'm talking about major titles and major promotions, long-term champions. I cannot think of a worse long-term title reign since, let's say, I would call the modern era of pro wrestling 1985 and onward. Let's use that as our
yeah. So the one that I think most people would probably bring up, and the one that came to my mind right away, I would disagree because I think it had its purpose, would be like Honky Tonk Man or whatever.
Come on,
but I agree. No, I'm with. Trust me. Before you get mad, I'm with you. No, that does not belong in that conversation.
No, it does not. Honky Tonk Man had a star presence. Honky Tonk Man had tremendous promos. Honky Tonk Man. Now listen, was he out there having 5-star classics we're going to remember forever? No. But the whole point of that character was he was a coward,
champion coward. Who would get in the ring, wrestle for a little bit, find out that his opponent is better than him, and go, fuck it, and then take a powder.
Wave his hands and get the hell out of there.
Right, yeah. Hell, I don't need this. I'm out of here.
Give me my title, Colonel Jimmy Hart, and then get the hell out of there. Or cheat. No, that Honky Tonk Man's Intercontinental title reign was significantly more entertaining. The Mandy Rose title reign, there's nothing entertaining about it. The matches aren't good. The promos aren't good. She's done nothing memorable.
It feels like she just has celebrations. It feels like they're just always on a couch talking. They're like coming out, and then they sit on a couch, or they go out and they're backstage and they're sitting on couches, or they're in a car. Anytime I see, it's never them doing anything in the ring. It's always her just sitting down talking.
It's the worst.
It's very strange. Yeah,
it's really bad.
Well, and for a company that's supposedly like in the midst of a women's revolution or women's evolution, all that sort of stuff, and yeah, it's a vestige of like the NXT 2.0 or whatever. But they haven't they don't seem to be in a rush to take the title off of her. No. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that's imminently happening. Like, it's clear that the new regime also sees value in it. But you wonder if like all the I mean, she's on the show all of the time. I mean, it's
never improves,
never gets better, never loses, never having great matches. It's like, man, there's no one else on that roster that you could go to and say, hey, let's put the title on X and build her up to become like a main event level. Because ultimately, like, what's this going to like when they eventually have Roxanne Perez beat her for the title? It's not. I mean, Mandy is just going to go right back to what she was doing before. Like, she's going to go to the main roster and just or she's just going to get released or whatever. I mean, they haven't built anything with this. They're not really planning for the next, anything with her. It's just, they put her on NXT 2.0 because she was hot, and then they've just kind of stuck with it for a while because I guess they don't have any other ideas, and they want, I don't know. Do we know if her quarter hours still draw like good numbers? Did they ever draw that good numbers? I don't even remember.
She there were a couple quarter hours. It's hard
those
to tell.
Those early NXT 2.0 days, she was drawing numbers. The horny 7-year-olds were all in on Mandy Rose.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I do remember a few of those times. We ended up being like, wow, her. But it only lasted a couple weeks, and then people were like, all right, well, whatever.
Well, I could tell you that the overall ratings for the show haven't moved ever. They started in the low point teens, and they're still there, however long NXT 2.0 has existed. Her segment this week was now it was top of the hour, so everything gets bumped up top of the hour. The second highest segment of the show in total viewers, and the second highest segment of the show in 18 to 49. The following segment, which featured, this was October. This is not this week's show. This is October 25th. But again, she was at the top of the hour. The Pretty Deadly tag match versus Anofe and Blade, and the JD McDonough, whatever he did, backstage segment, that did better than hers. What are we doing? Nobody cares. Listen, the point here is...
Right, the point here... Angry 216 brings up a great point. You could argue, and he says, you can argue Mandy is the second most pushed person in WWE that is a full-timer.
Well, her and Braun Breaker are undoubtedly the hardest pushed. They've been both pushed since day one of NXT 2.0.
Right, well over
literally day one.
Yeah.
The show has been built around both of them. And if you really want to extrapolate that to the main roster, the only person being pushed harder than them is Roman Reigns. Right? I mean, realistically. Maybe Judgment Day. But within the context of NXT, obviously she's been pushed harder than anyone with the exception of Breaker. And they're about equal. And it just has never caught on. And she's not getting any better. And she's been with the company since Obama was president. So she's
been there so long.
No, that's not a joke.
No, I know. Her and Aaliyah are like, you cannot even fathom how long that they've been in this company.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. Yeah. She debuted, for people who do not know about Mandy Rose, she debuted on, let me get the exact show here. Well, she was in Tough Enough, obviously, so she dates back even far enough to Tough Enough. But yeah, January 2016 was her first event. It's a long time ago now. It doesn't seem long. It doesn't seem long, but trust me, that's long. That's a long time for her. So,
did she appear? All right, I've got another random one here. The October 11th NXT.
Oh, check some quarter hours and stuff. Yeah.
Let me see if she was on the show. Yeah, top of the hour again. She always seems to be on at 9:00. Toxic 3-way tag ends, Toxic Attraction promo, an ad break. They did a promo. Did they have a match later? Yes, they had another promo later in the show. So their quarter at the 9:00 went up a little from the previous quarter, and then their segment later dropped. There's no, I don't see any. I'm just looking at random.
Right. Just a few random.
I don't see anything. I mean, the high water mark that week was quarter hour 3 with Indy Hartwell versus Faraz, Apollo Crews video, Indy Hartwell angle, just a hodgepodge of shit. A Dragunov Grayson Waller angle, no match. That did 841,000 viewers. Nothing else even did 800,000. So for whatever reason, I don't know. I've looked at 3 random recent
it doesn't
NXTs,
seem to be, yeah.
And there's nothing that indicates that Toxic Attraction is any kind of special quarter hour draw. And I don't see any pattern for anyone else either. But I didn't plan on doing this segment, so I didn't do any kind of detailed study of her drawing power. But it doesn't feel to me that she's catching on at all. She isn't any good. Anyway, if anyone could think of a worse title reign than this one, I'd love you to pitch it to me.
Yeah, let us know.
Can't think of
let us know. Yeah, let us know on Patreon. Try to do that if you're a Patreon subscriber. Make sure you comment on the post. Let us know or YouTube as well. It's a good way to plug our YouTube channel. I believe it's even easier to get to our YouTube channel, I think now, because they have YouTube handles, Joe. I think you could just go to youtube.com/Voices of Wrestling to very easy find us. And I think that's been the case for a while, but now they've made it even easier with the YouTube handles. But yeah, we're trying to pump that up a little bit. So make sure if you're not already on there, make sure you subscribe. youtube.com/Voices of Wrestling. All of our podcasts are on there. We are also doing additional clips as well. We're trying to find a good clip from each one of our shows and post it there. So yeah, we're trying to grow it little by little, but it does have everything. It has all of our shows on there, so it's a cool. It's a cool little thing as well if you want to listen to the podcast that way as well. youtube.com/Voices of Wrestling.
How about this one? Dakota Jones has pitched the AJ Styles world title reign with the Shinsuke Nakamura nutshot matches in the Joe feud where Joe was stalking him.
Yeah, that's not great. Did that really last that long? Holy shit.
I think he had it over a year. Yeah, I think he
qualified.
I don't know. I think that's better than this Mandy Rose.
I mean, we remember the nut shots. Like, we remember the nut shot matches. It's like, I don't know if better would be. I mean, I'm sure it was. I'm sure there was an AJ Styles match in that period that was better than anything that Mandy Rose has done. But also, like, from a memorable standpoint, too, we remember, like, I don't know if that's good or not. We remember the nut shot matches. We remember the joke.
Okay, I would be willing to bet that any one of those three Styles Nakamura matches were better. I would say that the worst AJ Styles Nakamura match was better than the best Mandy Rose match, whatever it was.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes, certainly. It has to, right? It's got to.
So, yeah, the Mandy Rose is way worse.
Yeah, from an in-ring standpoint, from a a memorable moment standpoint, from growing the audience and you're getting nothing out of it. You're not getting anything out of this reign, but it's lasting over a year with no sign of going out of style anytime soon.
You know what's happening with it? Toxic Attraction number 3 is growing on me.
JC Jane growing on you. You're coming a JC Jane guy. All right.
She's getting better. Like, I can see improvement in her. Like, I could see a light at the end of the tunnel, and I could see some upside with Toxic Attraction number 3.
Okay.
Whereas Mandy Rose, I've seen her on the main roster, and she was totally ineffective and a non-factor there already. And this has done nothing to change my mind. She's getting pushed as a top star, and she's not coming across like one. You see what I'm saying? And she's been in the system since Obama was president. So, whereas JC Jane, I don't know if she's ever going to amount to anything, but I am seeing potential in her now. Whereas before I wasn't, so I'm seeing her get better, which is the whole point of developmental. So Mandy Rose is a 29-year-old fourth outfielder who is starting in AAA and is still only hitting 280. Like, what are we doing here?
Right, like
it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Tired of long waits and rushed care at the ER and urgent care clinic? Next time, stay home and let Dispatch Health bring the power of the hospital to you.
I call Dispatch Health. A care team of medical professionals actually come to your house.
They're the same caliber of people that you would see if you were at a hospital or an urgent care.
Dispatch Health can treat most non-life-threatening emergencies.
They can do the x-rays, they can do stitches,
urinary tract infections, blood test, urinalysis, ultrasound.
It's almost everything that they can do at the ER.
You never feel rushed. They're there for you and only you.
I felt like their only patient.
And it costs no more than a trip to urgent care because Dispatch Health is covered by most insurance, including Medicare. See if we serve your home at dispatchhealth.com.
Dispatch Health really went above and beyond.
It's wonderful to have care come to your home.
House calls are back, and they're better than ever. Learn more at dispatchhealth.com.
Anyway.
There you go. So that is our long-winded. That's the plug for the Patreon there. There you go. But yeah, you have your write-up this week, review roulette on NXT and all that sort of stuff. But let's get to the other topics we want to talk about this week. Since we're speaking about WWE, let's briefly discuss their Q3 earnings call, which happened this week. They announced $304.6 million in revenue for this quarter, a year-over-year rise of 19%. The domestic premium live events we're up year over year. Money in the Bank was 17% up. SummerSlam was 20% up in viewers, and Extreme Rules was up 36% in viewers. Now, the caveat to that is Peacock is also up in viewers and people that have the app or whatever, so that always kind of goes hand in hand, and I don't know that we can really point to those premium live event numbers and go, oh, well, there we go, there's renewed interest, like, just more people have Peacock. And I'm sure, like, that Extreme Rules number does stand out, that 36% up from SummerSlam, which was at 20%. Like, that number does stick out, and that's probably attributed to the Bray Wyatt stuff, interest in the Bray Wyatt thing, see what was going to happen there. But, ultimately those numbers, without context, don't really mean a whole lot to me. The premium live events being up over year, a bunch year over year. I don't know. More people are using Peacock, so I don't know. But I mean, I'm sure those are pretty decent numbers. They can't be upset about those numbers at all, regardless of how you approach it. But, the revenue, big revenue there. The more interesting stuff for me, there wasn't a whole lot else. It's like WWE makes money hand over fist every single quarter now. I mean, what are we really going to say here? But to me, the more interesting part was some quotes about the special committee that was created to investigate misconduct by Vince McMahon. They have concluded their investigation. Quote, management is working with the board of directors to implement the recommendations of the special committee related to the investigation. I don't know what any of that means. There's a lot of big words there. Who knows what's actually going to happen with that. But there is an interesting little quote that came out of this is, there was discussion about, what does the future hold for Vince McMahon and the company. And the quote was from the company that McMahon can, quote, effectively exercise control over our affairs because he is still the top shareholder. So there you go. People forget that.
Yeah, he could decide to sell it at the snap of a finger.
Yes.
And people are making an awfully big deal of the investigation coming to a conclusion and them not really saying anything. What more do you need to know? We know what he did. We know how much money he paid, and he quit in shame. What I don't. Do you have a different take on this?
No, I agree. Like, short of like naming names, which I don't think we need to do. I mean, if those people want to, if those people want to get their names out there, whatever they can. But he signed all these people to NDAs, and we know that a bunch of people got signed to NDAs because he was, behaving like an absolute animal in his workplace. And I mean, that's kind of the end of it. And he resigned in shame. So there's nothing else that we really need out of this. I mean, if you thought that there was even more dirt, okay, there really wasn't. This committee wasn't really looking for every amount of dirt that this company had. They were just looking at if did we find everything that we can find? Do we now have an idea of what was going on in our company? And effectively they do, and now they can just kind of move on. And the guy that was at the head of it is no longer, a regular quote unquote employee of the company. John Laurinaitis is, I don't know what his official status is with the company, but he probably won't be back to doing any sort of duties ever again. So I don't know. I mean, that's kind of the investigation. That's what it is. I'm with you. I don't know what else people wanted out of this because, Vince resigned in shame and he's done. So, that's kind of the end result. And it did cost them $18 million to do this investigation. They said on top of all the other stuff, but they said, quote, Mr. McMahon has agreed to pay the reasonable costs of the investigation not covered by insurance.
Why does it cost $19 million to do? Like, I'm just curious. Like,
now that I would like a little bit more of a dig into of like, all right, break down that $18 million, that $19 million. Like, did they have to pay out more hush fund stuff? Did they have to pay out more NDAs? Did it just cost that's a good gig to investigate. Did Vince McMahon have like improper relationships in the workplace? You can pay me $19, $1 million, and I could probably figure that out. You can pay me $19, and I'll probably figure that out. But
the majority of that has to be the cost of the investigators, right?
That's what I would assume. Yeah, I mean,
that's a pretty lucrative business.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think we're in the wrong business. We're in the wrong business.
I don't know. Who you would even. I know nothing about it. I don't know who you would seek out to investigate something like that. I guess there's firms that do this professionally, and it's the total. When I first read the statement, I thought I was rereading the amount of money that he paid for the NDAs, but it was actually the cost of the investigation that the company paid out. And I was like, what the fuck? Almost $20 million was the cost. I mean, I know nothing about it. I don't know if that's considered an expensive investigation, a cheap, I don't know. But to me, for someone who knows nothing, it seemed exorbitant. I don't know.
It did, yes. Yeah. So, and Frank A. Riddick III, one of your favorites, Joe WWE President Frank A. Riddick III, said, our third quarter results include an $18 million expense associated with the costs of the company has incurred related to the investigation, which has been excluded from the adjusted OIBDA. Going forward, we expect to incur additional costs. This is an interesting too. Going forward, we expect to incur additional costs related to the investigation. So it does not sound like that is over in that way, the additional costs. I don't know what that exactly means. I'm going to make sure it didn't say going forward we don't expect. I thought I copied and pasted that exactly, but let me double check to make sure that I have that quote exactly right. But yeah, so apparently he is assuming there's going to be more costs involved in this, and then just said, yeah, Mr. McMahon has agreed to pay the reasonable cost of the investigation not covered by insurance. So
how about referring to Laurinaitis as another executive?
Right,
no longer with
quote,
the company?
another executive. Yeah, that's...
They couldn't just put his name? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Why is it always so weird with this company? Like they couldn't put his name. Another executive no longer with the company.
So Reddick did say, yeah, so his exact quote was, going forward, we expect to incur additional costs related to the investigation. So somehow even more costs are going to come from this thing. So I also don't know. I'm with you. I'm very perplexed as to where all these costs are coming from. But
so $8 million gate for the attack at the castle or whatever the fuck they were, Clash. Castle Clash. What was that called? Clash?
One of those, yes.
It's a healthy gate. We knew that show was a massive success.
Not bad, yeah.
Yeah. So they made a lot of money again, Rich.
Yeah, it's kind of boring to do the quarterly stuff anymore. There's really no... It's like, at the end of the day, they'll talk about all these things and these vertical things and these linear eyes and this, and then it's like, I mean, we just made a shit fucking ton of money because we have these huge TV deals. And it's like, sometimes we go to Saudi Arabia, we make a shit ton of money, and sometimes we go to England and we make a shit ton of money. So it's like, I don't know, man. All right, what do you want me to say any more about these? So,
and they re-upped the Hulu deal, so I guess that was notable for the Raw replays, because that was something that was coming up and up for bidding, but Hulu kept that. Anything else notable from the call that you picked up on?
I really didn't see much else. I mean, they were very complimentary of the White Rabbit story and our renewed interest in our creative and stuff. And it's all right, cool, whatever. Now we got Uncle Howdy. I got people texting me, hey, what's with this Uncle Howdy thing? I'm like, dude, don't fucking ask me. These people that tell me, oh, I love Bray Wyatt. All right, well, that's you. And you have to figure out what the fuck Uncle Howdy is. I am not going to spend a minute of my life trying to break down Uncle Howdy, so you enjoy that on your own. But yeah, renewed creative interest due to the White Rabbit story.
Sure. And I guess they're going to do more of that because it did pop some quarter hours.
I did like Triple H touting that 923 show where they told you 923, something's going to happen on 923, and then nothing happened on 923.
Yeah.
The total bait and switch. He was like, yeah, we got great numbers on that 923 for the White Rabbit thing. And they didn't deliver anything.
Yeah,
every one of you.
Most fan bases would be mad at that. Their fan base eats it up.
Yeah.
Like,
their fan base said something was going to happen and it didn't happen. And I watched all Friday night and it didn't happen. Fuck yeah.
They want more of this. Yeah. They want more QR codes that tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
They can't get enough of the QR codes that say White Rabbit over and over again. I don't know. So I guess we could expect to see more of that. Anything else notable that you took away from the call? I
got nothing else from that. But I will say on a totally unrelated note from WWE's record-breaking financials, they have a show in Saudi Arabia this week. Joe, this weekend, Saturday afternoon, WWE Crown Jewel. There might be an attack from Iran going on this weekend, so I don't know what the latest on that was. I don't follow that all that much, but I do know that there was some rumblings about Iran making threats to Saudi Arabia, so I don't know. It doesn't seem like a great workplace this weekend, but hey, they're there. WWE Crown Jewel. It is on Peacock, and the main event is Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul, and the other Paul brother is going to be there too. Jake Paul will also be there because his boxing pay-per-views are doing real shit buys now, so I think maybe he's going to start dipping the foot in the water of the wrestling, thinking, it's not a bad gig. There's guaranteed money here because, the boxing thing doesn't seem like that's going to last much longer after this. So, tell me all about Roman Reigns and Logan Paul, Joe. Take it away.
I think it has a chance to be really good. Logan Paul has done nothing but impress me every time I've seen him wrestle. And I think they could have an interesting match. A lot of it's going to be how the crowd responds to the match and who they rally behind and all those sorts of things. As long as there's heat, I guess it doesn't really matter who they root for. And those crowds typically do, they're pretty hot crowds typically
for the big stuff. They are. Yeah. The problem with the problem with the Crown Jewel stuff and a really recommendation to people if you are going to watch these shows is that sometimes it isn't the worst idea to just skip the undercard of these, because they tend to not really care about the people. But when the stars come out, when your Brock Lesnar's, your Roman Reigns's, those people come out, they do react, and they are hot from that point forward. They're kind of like, there's somehow when the show begins, and then there's always this like hour to hour and a half lull period where there's a lot of people in the ring that they just don't give a shit about. And then when the stars really come out, that's when the crowd gets into it again. So I don't know. If you must watch WWE Crown Jewel, it might not be the worst idea to just pick and choose the stuff that really matters to you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the main event has a chance to be. I have no reason, Logan Paul's been nothing but impressive to me. So,
we'll see. Gets it too. Gets wrestling, gets the idea of, charisma, owning a ring, all that sort of stuff. So I'm with you. I think it has a chance to be really, really good. And Reigns, for all the, criticisms I do have of him, like, ultimately the man wrestles WWE main event style perfectly. He's
I'm not a huge fan of his. I'm not a huge fan of his work as the tribal chief era, but he obviously has a incredible presence right now, and he's over as fuck. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if I end up enjoying the match. I also wouldn't be surprised if it's very gimmicked up and there's a lot of horse shit and I end up being annoyed by the match. With this company, it could go either way.
Also on the show, real quickly, AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson versus the Judgment Day. So yes, obviously Gallows.
Well, if this is it. If Machine Gunka comes out from the curtain, we know he's not going to be in Osaka for sure.
I think they've officially announced him as not being in Osaka anymore. I think they've actually. I think in Japan's official website they do no longer declare that match happening. So.
Yeah, they have canceled the match. That's the new. Now, if you notice, they have not left the match on the books for him not to show up because they were threatening to strip him if he didn't show up.
Right.
They have instead canceled the match, which means he's not being stripped.
So for people that say, "Oh, well, why?" They do, but in this case, he didn't not show up for his title defense. The match is canceled. So
right. So you have to ask yourself, as I do the Brian Windhurst, you have to ask yourself why they would do that.
2 fingers up. You got the 2 fingers.
My 2 fingers are up. Why would they do that? Because I have heard, I cannot confirm, that there are 2 dates that work. And they might be able to get him in for one of those 2 dates. So I haven't been able to confirm that yet. But when you consider that they canceled the match, that information kind of adds up. So they may have agreed on a date where Anderson can come in and do the job. We'll see. Now, I am not completely ruling out that he doesn't show up in Saudi Arabia and maybe there's an angle or something. But we'll know. We'll know immediately whether, they're going to do some kind of angle. But them canceling the match puts me at a 1% chance of showing up to Osaka to like a 0.0001%.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah. I mean,
so he's not coming to it. Now it's almost 100% certain. But the fact that they're not stripping him this weekend tells me that the rumblings I'm hearing that they have agreed on a date is probably true. Otherwise, they would just strip him, because the whole point of scheduling the match, knowing he wasn't going to be there, was to give them an out and an opportunity to strip him if they had to. And since they're not doing that, what does that tell you? 2 fingers in the air.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. That's somewhere they've come to some sort of modicum of an agreement at some point soon. And then, like we said it last week, if they agree to, okay, let's do it on, just throw out a random Destruction of Bipu, the show that you bring up, right, and then WWE pulls him, that's the point where you just go, okay, you know what? This has been fun, but like, we're done here. You know what I mean? Like, we tried, we got this date down, we announced it, you can't come again, we're good now. We're good now. But at least give him this opportunity to find that date that does work, and build up a story with this, and then, figure out what you're going to do. But it's like, this is the last chance now. Now, if they announce a date or whatever, or they have a date in mind and it doesn't work, then we're good. We just move on to something else.
Yeah, and look, and I'm not telling you that I like any of this or I give a shit about the Carl Anderson never title drama. I'm not telling you that, and I'm not telling you, but I'm still kind of surprised at the weird reactions fans are having. They're so mad at this. It's just a pro wrestling angle. What are you so mad at? That part I don't understand. Like, am I juiced up about all of this and excited to see the eventual Hikuleo match? No, I can't tell you I am, but I'm also not angry at this. Like, it's just a pro wrestling angle, and he's gonna either show up and do the match or he's not, and that's gonna be that. But you would think that New Japan is, ruining. First of all, people claim they don't even care about this Never title. So which is it? Are they ruining the sanctity of the ever prestigious Never title?
Openweight title.
Or, like what's happening here? So it's like.
Well, and then I see it's just a lot of work for Carl Anderson. It's not that much work. They just announce a match.
Yeah,
the match doesn't happen.
It's not any work.
Hikuleo says, you're a coward. Carl Anderson says, I'll show up when I want to show up. And then eventually he'll either show up and Hikuleo will beat him, or he doesn't show up and Hikuleo says, see, I knew you were a coward. And then the title moves to Hikuleo. Like, it's not that much work. It's okay.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't know why everyone's wound up about it. And at minimum, the Carl Anderson-Hikuleo feud is getting 1 million times more attention than it would have if he just showed up and did the fucking match. So New Japan comes out ahead here because everyone no one can stop talking about this. So from that standpoint, whoever's idea it was,
it worked out great.
It's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, pat yourself on the back because you got a lot of attention for the Never Openweight title, which would have had no attention whatsoever. If they stripped Carl Anderson of the title, nobody would have ever. If Carl Anderson signed with WWE and they immediately stripped him of the title, nobody would ever think about it. And this Hikuleo Yujiro match or whatever this weekend, nobody would give two shits about it.
Yeah, so whatever this
we're talking about,
we're
previewing Crown Jewel. We're not even previewing the New Japan show yet. We
talk about it every week, like it doesn't go away. It's a story, and so whatever that's worth, which might not be much to be completely honest, but whatever that's worth, it has worked. So anyway, they will be in. Is this Jeddah or Riyadh?
This is, I believe, this one is. We talked about that last week. We figured out what the difference between the Jeddah and the Riyadh ones are. With that said, I don't remember which one this is in. I believe this is Riyadh. This is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So, not that I I know the difference between Riyadh and Jeddah. I will admit that I don't really know a ton of difference.
No, those are the only two cities I know, and I know that they run shows in both cities, and I wasn't sure which city it was in. That's all.
There we go. So that is AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson versus the Judgment Day, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dominic. Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. A steel cage match. Oh, I could hardly contain my excitement for the steel cage match.
I'll watch those two guys fight in a cage.
They're not in a cage. No, I wish Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley were in a cage, Joe.
Oh, who's in the cage?
They're not in a cage. No, the cage is Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross.
Nuts.
Yes, I agree.
I thought Brock and Bobby Lashley.
Now, those are two men I lock into a cage. Those are two animals I lock into a cage and let them destroy one another. Yes, I'm with you. Fallen Prey guy and ching 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 sword guy is not the ones that I do that to, but
nevertheless,
steel cage. After their amazing match at Extreme Rules, the only thing that could possibly end this feud is a steel cage match. So there you go. Braun Strowman, the match that Masked Man and Cruise Control needed more stories, right?
Yes, that guy Greg is very excited about this one.
Yeah, but the other guys are not. That guy Greg's on the good side of this, right?
No, Dopey Pete says this doesn't have enough of a story for him.
It needs more story. Braun Strowman and Omos.
Yes.
Is also
two giants going at it.
Taking place at Crown Jewel. Last Woman Standing, one of my favorite match types. They just can never get enough of these. Bianca Belair versus Bayley. I hope they hit each other with kendo sticks, trash cans, and then I can hear a referee go 7 for 20 straight minutes. I can't wait. I'm excited.
While wearing their long sleeve shirts.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. Yes. In Saudi Arabia.
Hey!
So, yeah. Looking forward to it. And what has been one of the worst feuds on TV in all of wrestling. It's been awful. Yeah. So bad.
Damage Control. We'll talk about them in a little bit. WWE Tag Team titles. Well, we will, because Damage Control also on this Crown Jewel show. WWE Tag Team titles. The Usos versus the Brawling Brutes of Ridge Holland and Butch.
Well, I'll give that every chance.
That sounds good as hell. That sounds good to me, so I'm into that. And then your final match for the Women's Tag Team titles. Yes, 2 women's matches on this Crown Jewel show. Alexa Bliss and Asuka defending their newly won tag team titles against Damage Control. Can we talk about Damage Control's tag team title reign as well? A terrible, hideous title reign here. That's a team that just never wins, ever. It's a strange way to build them, but,
Yeah, that feud stinks. Damage Control has been just a total flop. And honestly, a lot of it's been the booking, They
just never win. They don't win any matches. Yeah. They lose all the time.
It's a feud where everyone just spins their wheels and nothing happens and no one gets over, and it just hasn't been good. Yeah, so I don't know. On paper, this show has some matches that look pretty interesting. The one thing you always have to factor in for with the Saudi shows is effort levels, because we've seen some Saudi shows where they totally mail it in and don't do anything, and other shows where they've worked hard. But there have definitely been some Saudi shows where the crew is just get in, get out, and as few bumps as possible, short matches. So, but this isn't really. There's not a million matches on this one either. So, we'll see. It's all going to depend on the effort levels.
Absolutely. So that's Crown Jewel. I think it's on 12 Eastern on Saturday, I want to say, on the Peacock. So
this is why you have 4 TVs in the den, so you don't have to miss a second of the action.
Yeah, watch college football. What's the big college football game this week? Off the top of your head? I don't.
At noon, head-to-head with this, or overall?
Just overall.
Tennessee at Georgia. CBS, 3:30.
I'm led to believe that Tennessee's good this year, right? Like, really good. Legit good, right?
Yeah, win the title.
It's been a while.
Tennessee at Georgia. And that's 3:30 ESPN.
There it is.
Gary Daniels, Brad Nessler.
Oh, I love a good Brad Nessler.
Dun, 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 dun.
Good song, too. Yeah. That's a great song. Yeah, that's going to work. All right,
Absolutely.
So that's Crown Jewel. That's on Peacock. Speaking of streaming wrestling, this is an interesting note here. FITE Plus. So FITE TV ramping up their FITE Plus subscription service. Now, they've had this for a while. A lot of people have not subscribed to it in the wrestling sphere. I think it has a lot of MMA and a lot of boxing on it, and it had some wrestling on it. But essentially, you could pay a flat monthly fee or a flat yearly fee and get everything that they were adding to the FITE Plus with that. But what happened is this week, they added a little bit of a different wrinkle to the FITE Plus offering here. GCW added to the mix. They are going to join now. Black Label Pro also joined in. Glory Pro Wrestling, OVW, House of Glory, Maryland Championship Wrestling, and AIW are also all now on FITE Plus. So some of those were already there. I'm just including everybody that's now on FITE Plus. But what's more interesting about this, and the other companies really don't matter that much. Black Label Pro, obviously they were on IWTV, so you could get them from a flat fee anyway. Glory Pro Wrestling, same with them. Some of these other ones similar. What's interesting for GCW, though, is they went from selling essentially 1 to 2, because they feel like they run every fucking weekend, 1 to 2 $15 pay-per-views every single weekend, to now being a part of FITE Plus's $4.99 per month or $49.99 per year plan that you could subscribe to. So this is interesting. So they are obviously, like, I guess, how do you react to this news? Were you kind of surprised or taken aback that they're, kind of saying, hey, look, we have the opportunity to sell $15 pay-per-views once or twice a week, but instead we'd rather just get a lump sum. We'll just be a part of this package. And ultimately, if you're a fan of GCW, like, you're making out like a bandit. Like, if you were buying all these shows, you were going to be doing very, very well, because now all you need to pay is either $50 per year or $5 per month or whatever. But from GCW's standpoint, they have to be getting like a guaranteed bag from FITE, right?
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, it doesn't make any financial sense.
Right.
Because, they're taking, it only costs $4.99 a month, and they were charging, whatever it was, $9.99 per show or whatever the fuck. So obviously FITE is throwing money at these promotions, and, this could end very badly. I mean, this could,
I definitely got Flow Sports in my head here. And the thing that, like, it doesn't look like it's going to, I mean, they're obviously giving these companies a lump sum or whatever. Definitely GCW getting a very large lump sum to say, hey, look, cash in on these $15 pay-per-views. It's also possible, too, that the momentum of GCW's pay-per-views were kind of slowing down a little bit, where this now made more financial sense to say, hey, look, we're not selling that many of these pay-per-views, so let's just go to this service, and then we'll probably get a lot of people that tangentially follow GCW, but are willing to pay $5 per month, but aren't going to throw down $30 a weekend to watch these shows or whatever.
Well, if you're a GCW fan, this is huge.
Oh, it's the best deal you could possibly have. Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, you're going to save so much money, and you're going to have access to every show, plus whatever they have in the back catalog, which I don't think is every single show, but it's a lot of shows. And you're going to save a shit, because again, you don't have to spend $14.99 per show. You could spend $4.99 per month. I can't assess. Obviously, Game Changer and these other promotions feel like whatever money they're being paid up front is more advantageous to them than what they were doing before, which means, but I can't really assess that unless I know, what the difference is and how much money they're being given. I'm just, look, if FITE doesn't hit whatever subscriber number the budget calls for based on what they're paying all of these promotions, this could end very badly. And then we could see all these promotions once again scrambling to find homes for their shows. But this is 2 or 3 steps down the line.
Right.
Okay.
Right now they're getting that bag of money and everyone's going to, I mean, a bunch of people are going to subscribe to this now and it's going to look good.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately deep down. And that's, because the other thing about this too is that you're sharing this pie with all of FITE and their MMA, all of FITE and their boxing, all of FITE. And they have a lot of other things here on this FITE Plus that now you get, which is cool and great. And okay, I get to watch all this sort of stuff, but that's also slicing the pot of what everybody is getting. So FITE is.
See, we don't know. See, are they slicing up a pie or are they just getting an upfront payment and no matter how many buy?
Yeah. That's
right.
Possible
Right.
Too, yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. So, we don't know that they're chopping up the proceeds or if I presume that they're just getting paid a lump sum, X amount of dollars, and then FITE is keeping the entire rake. And FITE's gamble is they've budgeted for whatever they've budgeted for, and they think the total number of subscriptions is going to go above and beyond what they're paying these promotions. That's what I think is happening here.
Sure.
That's what makes sense to me, rather than a chopping up the pie. Now, what got confusing is in a lot of the releases and a lot of the descriptions, it says the NWA is included. Now, I'm someone who actually has a subscription, same price. It's NWA is $4.99 a month or $49.99 for the year, and you get all 3 television shows and all of the pay-per-views for that price. So for someone who covers it, it made total sense for me just to plunk down the $50 because that pays for itself with the pay-per-views alone, right? So, but this claims it included the NWA. Now, me as an NWA subscriber, I said, now hold on a minute. I'm getting ripped off now because I'm paying $49.99 for the year, but I'm only getting one promotion. Meanwhile, someone can pay $49.99 and get all of these promotions plus the NWA. But people did some research in our Discord, and it looks like the NWA stuff is very old archived stuff and not the current. Like the NWA, it doesn't include the pay-per-views and things like that. So the NWA deal is still independent of this new bundle deal. So if you wanted all the NWA, you'd have to pay $100 a year to get the NWA and the bundle deal. So just so people aren't confused, if people think that they can get the NWA pay-per-views with this bundle deal, from what I understand, people who are paying for the bundle say that that's not true. So, and I checked my subscription, and the only things unlocked for me are the NWA content. So I don't have any of that stuff unlocked, and the people who have the new bundle don't have any of the NWA stuff unlocked, the pay-per-views and whatnot. So just if there are any listeners read that and got confused, the NWA, I think, is still separate.
Yeah.
It better be, or I'm going to be very upset. I mean,
you should be, as you should be.
But, I'm probably still never going to watch a Game Changer show, but
it's good to have the access to it. You never know.
It's good to have the access. Yeah,
right. You pay you pay your $4.99 a month. Give me some access. So I get that. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It does not feel like there's a bunch of other promotions ready to sign up just yet. This feels like this is the rollout, and who knows what's going to happen down the line. But some other promotions then saying that
plenty have jumped. I mean, plenty have jumped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some have stayed. I mean, some have come out and said they're staying with IWTV. So, and I know that their deal is they pay per hour watched. They pay like 20 cents per hour watched to the promotions or something. Nobody's getting rich off of that kind of deal. So I think that's why a lot of them are jumping to this, but in order for you to do that, FITE has to offer you, like FITE has to want you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's that factor too. So we're kind of in this weird, I don't want to call it a streaming war, but, we are seeing some promotions defect from IWTV and hop in with this FITE thing.
Yeah,
I think
it's a whole different. It's a different.
Label Pro, one of them.
Yeah, Black Label Pro jumped over. Glory Pro Wrestling jumped over as well. Yeah, it's because it was like there were companies. GCW has been on FITE for a while, but they it felt like, okay, you have IWTV, which is like this hub of indie wrestling that you can pay, $9.99 a month or whatever, pay your monthly fee or whatever, and you're gonna be able to get all of these different promotions. When they have another company kind of doing the same thing, but undercutting it in terms of the price, and also adding, hey, you can get slap fight and bare knuckle fighting league and all this. So they're adding a bunch of other stuff to it. But like you said, we've kind of upset the stability that indie wrestling streaming had for a long amount of time now, and sort of changed the game in terms of pricing and all that sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how other companies follow up if this is more companies start joining Fight Plus. What's going to happen with it? But ultimately, who knows? Like I'm with you that I think this all sounds like it's going to end badly. I just, you look at Fight's business, the larger business of Fight and Triller, who owns it or whatever, like, it's not exactly the most stable business in ways. So I'm sure that this is like, like you said, they've probably baked in, okay, we get X amount of subscriptions, then all these deals are going to be fine. At the end of the day, it's just like chasing subscriber growth, chasing data, chasing users, all that sort of stuff. And then eventually you just kick the can down the road until you can't keep kicking it anymore. And then you just go out of business and go away. And I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen with these guys, but it's just kind of, I don't know, with a lot of these streaming networks, unless you have just this undying infrastructure that you're going to just, no, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. They're all losing fucking tons of money. I mean, go look at how much money Peacock's losing every single month. Like, it is absurd the amount of money that Peacock is losing, but they're just,
well, maybe Fight wasn't doing well, and these are Hail Mary options to try to kickstart and turn it around. I don't know, and it's impossible. As I said, it's impossible to assess it without knowing what kind of money they're dishing out for this content.
Right, but for you right now as the end user, you shouldn't give a shit if you like GCW.
No.
bit.ly/VOW-Fight Plus. I will link it in there. Go to voicesofwrestling.com/fight. A great deal for you. If you like Black Label Pro, Glory Pro, House of Glory, Maryland Championship Wrestling, AIW, or GCW, $4.99 per month, you are doing quite well. So yeah, voicesofwrestling.com/fight. You don't have to care about just what does Triller's money look like, or hey, how's the revenue streams of Triller? It doesn't matter to you right now. You're going to get cheaper wrestling than you got before.
Take advantage of it while you can.
Right.
It's a really good deal, $4.99 a month, and I'd pay the $49.99. I mean,
yeah, $50 and you're done with it for the year. That's
why not save the $12 or whatever it comes out to?
Just over 3 GCW shows that you were going to buy anyway. Now you're going to get every single one they ever run. So. Yeah,
right.
Seems
right.
silly not
Which
to.
is why I opted for it with NWA. I'm buying all those pay-per-views anyway. Then why not just pay $49.99? So it's take advantage of it while you can, and maybe more. We'll know quickly if it's working or not. If more promotions, if they try to entice more promotions to make the jump. And for IWTV, it can't be good to be losing these promotions. But again, I don't know what the typical IWTV subscriber is paying for. I could only conclude that the promotions that they feature prominently at the top of their page are the ones that are making them the most, that are generating the most viewer hours.
Oh, sure.
Right. Yeah. Like, so, if you want to base it off of that, and when they start, the more promotions they lose that out of the featured promotions that they have at the top of their, that's the only way you can gauge it. I mean, we could ask them, but a lot of times that's proprietary stuff. They're not going to talk about, they're not going to tell a podcast, which promotions. They're going to keep a lot of that stuff guarded because we're going to come on the air and talk about it. So but that would be the best way that you can tell. The ones that they're featuring at the top of their page. I mean, there's a reason when you go on their page, it's not sorted alphabetically, right? They're trying to, they're putting their most popular stuff at the top. And then if you want to sort it alphabetically, you got to do that on your own. So that's really the only way you'd be able to gauge something like that. So I don't know how much damage this is going to do to them, and obviously though, for these promotions that have jumped, whatever lump sum they were offered is above and beyond whatever they were making on, the per hour payment system of IWTV.
Right. So just something to keep an eye on for the future of streaming independent wrestling. But as a big change we've had, biggest change we've had in quite a while for that. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. And if anything goes the future holds for that. But let's move on to Pro Wrestling Noah. They're on Wrestle Universe, wrestle-universe.com. You can get Pro Wrestling Noah, DDT, and Tokyo Joshi Pro for one low price every single month. And because of that, I was able to watch the October 30th show from Noah. It was the Return Pro Wrestling Love Forever 3 Triumph show. Joe, this was Noah's October 30th show. It had some noteworthy stuff that we are going to definitely have to talk about here. Highlights included Kojima and Sugiura successfully defending their titles against Nakajima and Kano. I thought that was a really fun, good match. I enjoyed that one. The result, a little interesting, but when you see the result of the main event, not too surprising there either. Keiji Muto teaming with fellow Noah wrestlers Marufuji and Inamura, and they faced Great Bash Heel and Hiroshi Tanahashi as well. I thought that was a fun match for what it was too. But we are going to start off by talking about the main event here. GCW heavyweight title match. Kaito Kiyomiya defeating Kaz Fujita in 24 minutes and 6 seconds, I should say. And it featured a very, very interesting conclusion, Joe. A very interesting end to that match. What did you make of the match first? Then we'll talk about the very bizarre final sequence.
Well, the match was terrible. It wasn't any good. The final minute or so where it really picked up and Fujita was putting a beating on Kiyomiya, it started to get interesting. But they went right to the finish before it could redeem, the first 20 minutes or so where it was just, Fujita at this point is just a terrible pro wrestler. He has trouble moving around. He doesn't really get crowd reactions. He has no connection with the crowd, and he's just not very good. And as good as Kiyomiya is, he's not, nobody can, just Fujita is almost impossible to carry to a good match unless you just let him beat the shit out of you. Like that's the only way that it's going to. Do you remember the Okada Tenryu match and, Tenryu's retirement match? And he was so old and physically destroyed that Okada made a business decision in the middle of that match. He's like, okay, I have to let this man beat me up or this match is just going to be a complete disaster. Right.
We talked about how you could tell in the ring that something got said, and he just said, like, fucking lay it in, man. Just beat me.
Just fuck me up.
Just punch me because we got to do this to make this work.
Because we can't work effectively because you can't do this anymore. That's kind of like Fujita's not nearly as decrepit as Tenryu was at that point, but it isn't that far off, to be completely honest.
Effort level's about the same too. So,
well, yeah, his effort levels are just, he just isn't very good, and he's old and he's beaten up, and the match stunk. And then, they do the flash pin finish where Kiyomiya uses the Muta's fucking. Whatever the fuck, we're terrible with the moves. The Frankensteiner,
Frankensteiner Hurricane
Rana. And with the idea that he learned it from Muto, because that's the terrible storyline that they've saddled him with, where he's just a carbon copy of Muto instead of being himself. And so he gets the flash pin, but then Fujita, of course, he kicks out early. It's not a definitive pin at all.
He is kicking out at like 2.3. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's the 3.1 kick out that's like, all right, dude, come on, like lay down for a little bit more. There's the, you're moving around at 3. This guy at 2.1, this guy is like shaking around and moving or whatever. And they have
his shoulders weren't on the mat, and he's moving around,
holding him down as much as he can. 1, 2, 3. The announcers go, oh, well, yeah, he got him, because it's like they don't know because it seems so weird because he's just moving. He's basically up. He's not. His shoulders aren't down.
And then
very similar to the Muto match too. Like it ends, the image that you see is Kiyomiya in a pile of his own sweat, sitting in the ring, just trying to compose himself, and the guy that he just beat is standing upright, arguing with the referee or leaving the ring as he's
right.
In
and then the story, the story became Fujita complaining that he wasn't down for the 3 count. Not
shoving the referee and stuff. I wasn't down. Yeah.
Pushing the referee, arguing with the referee, and storming out of the ring under full power, not beat up at all. And he did kick out. Honestly, his shoulders weren't on the mat. And the champion who, quote unquote, won, like you're saying, laying in a exhausted, exasperated, in a puddle of sweat, looking like he just got the shit kicked out of him. So it was one of those classic matches where somebody won, but they didn't get put over. And Fujita came out of it looking like he, quote unquote, lost, but really won because he beat the shit out of the guy, and the finish and the pin was bullshit. And it's the same, essentially the same finish that Fujita did with El Hijo, Dr. Wagner Jr. in the N1 tournament, where he kicked out at 2, the referee counted 3, he popped up and complained. It's because Fujita, when he doesn't respect you, and if you're not one of his old pals or an old shooter or someone from his generation, he doesn't respect you. If he doesn't respect you, he isn't going to lose to you clean. He doesn't respect El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. He doesn't respect Keito Kiyomiya, even though he's the champion of the promotion. So he's not going to do clean jobs, these guys. He's done like 3 or 4 singles losses since he's been with Noah, and all of them, the only people he lost clean to were Masakatsu Funaki, an old shooter and one of his pals, and Masato Tanaka, an old guy from his generation.
Right.
He'll lose to those guys, but he's not losing to anyone else. He's not, I should say, he's not putting anyone else over.
He'll lose to them, but yeah, we need to make a distinction. People are saying, well, he won. Kiyomiya beat him. He won. Dude, we've been watching this wrestling shit for long enough to know when you see that result, when that's how the finish of the match ends, that's not... That's you putting the guy over. That's politicking 101. That's pro wrestling politicking 101. Yes, you lost the match, but come on. You're the one standing up. You didn't go down for 3. You got up before the other guy. That's
yeah, you popped right up.
That's run-of-the-mill stuff. We've been through this fucking thing before. You don't have to explain wrestling to us.
Yeah.
We know what this is. We know what he's doing here.
Yeah, and the thing about Fujita, and this is what makes him different than Keiji Muto or some of these other guys. The thing about Fujita is he's never been good. He's never been a draw. He's never been over, ever. Even 20 years ago, in pro wrestling. And so it's even more frustrating when it's him. And, if you want to tell me that, if Noah PR wants to, tell people that, because Adam Summers of the Big Audio Nightmare, okay, that's
great show. They've been doing a Japanese wrestling podcast for 15 years now, basically.
So here's the background. Adam and Mike Sempervive have been doing Big Audio Nightmare. They are like one of the, along with Joe Gagney and some others, among the godfathers of wrestling podcasting. They've been doing that show since before I think it was even called podcasts. You know what I mean? It was like, that's how long that show's existed. And they're like the godfathers of Japanese pro wrestling audio coverage. Okay, they've been doing it forever. And they know a thing or two about Japanese pro wrestling. And Adam, watched this match. And like anybody else who has any common sense or knows anything about how wrestling works, or knows anything about how these old shooters operate, or knows anything about how the politics of Noah operate, he buried it. He buried this bullshit match with this bullshit finish and had a very well thought out long thread on Twitter talking about it. And he's someone who, when he talks, whether I agree with him or not, he's someone who's been doing this a long time. And I know he's coming from a place of knowledge and he knows what he's talking about. Okay. And he rightfully buried all of this. And then we had the Noah PR guy, Justin Nipper, and that guy's paid by Noah. The cat's out of the bag. For a while, nobody knew. But he admits it now that he's Noah PR. It's right there in his bio. He works for Noah. He takes money from Pro Wrestling Noah, which means anything he says has no credibility. But he quote tweets Adam.
I will say, we get all of his emails and stuff too, and he does a great job of doing PR for Noah in English language. Like, it's great. We get the emails. We know all the matches. We know everything that's going on. Like, we get images. We get all that sort of stuff. He's doing his job quite well. I'll say that, but.
That's fine, but what
yes,
I don't need...
You lose the objectivity.
Lose the objectivity, and what I don't need... what I don't need is paid PR quote tweeting someone respected like Adam Summers and then trying to explain Japanese wrestling to him. That's a joke. You can't teach him anything about Japanese wrestling, especially when you're paid PR. And you could try to spin this into... This is the story Noah's telling. It's a story of Kiyomiya overcoming a monster. And that ridiculous thing that he said, where he said if Kiyomiya would have definitively beaten Fujita, the fans in Ararakai would have walked out of the building. You know what? You need to pipe down. I know you're paid PR, but that is such a ridiculous statement. That is beyond ridiculous. Nobody would have walked out of the building if the champion of the promotion beat a 50-year-old man. Don't try to Japanese wrestling explain people who've been watching this stuff for decades and could teach you something if you wanted to sit down and take a lesson. That was insulting to me, and he didn't even say it to me. Okay? He said it to Adam. But that's nonsense. And I don't need other paid NOAA employees popping into our Discord to disrespect me and question my credibility, like Pickering did the other day. Pickering coming in to our Discord out of nowhere to bring up some old ancient Yohei story and try to question my credibility and flash question. Again, you're a paid employee. I don't want to hear from you. Pipe down. If you have information for me and you want to dispute something I reported, my DMs are open, pal. You got an invite. Come on this show and challenge me. Open invitation. This is what I told them. They'll question my credibility. Why? Because we don't like the booking of this company? Okay? I don't like that. I don't like the way these paid employees of NOAA are reacting to some criticism. Okay? It's not our fault the booking of the place you work for stinks and that we see through it. That's not our fault. It's our job to be critics. You can't take offense to that. You got to have thicker skin. You can't explain anything to Adam. Are you kidding me? With your nonsense. Nobody's buying it. It's garbage, Rich. And I know you're probably mad at me right now. But
I'm not mad at you.
I took offense to that. You go come in and question my credibility on that Yohei thing.
Yeah, there was somebody not that long ago, and I forget who it was, who Alan was talking about. Alan Cunahan, Alan Forel was talking about NOAA booking. And somebody was trying to explain, like, NOAA to him. I was like, you do not explain the history of fucking pro wrestling NOAA to Alan Cunahan. Like, no, you don't. He explains it to you. That guy's been talking about doing podcasts about pro wrestling for 20 years now at this point. I've been covering, like, no, you don't get to come in and say, well, actually, Alan, the way it works is, no, that's not how it works. And it was rooted in the same thing of, like, and we will say this too, NOAA has been upfront about wanting people to be not just the PR people, not the people that work for the company. They've sent out feelers for, hey, we want to have like paid fans that will promote NOAA across the way. You know, we want people that, you know, will promote the Pro Wrestling NOAA and talk about Pro Wrestling NOAA and review Pro Wrestling NOAA and all that sort of stuff. And they're willing to do, and that's an initiative that they have tried to do this year, which is a good initiative. It's a smart initiative, but you have to see that. You now have to see that and realize, okay, well, if I'm hearing this Pro Wrestling NOAA stuff and people are being very, very positive about something that most other people are like, I don't know, that's kind of weird. You got to ask questions. You got to at least think about it a little bit. And that's NOAA's done that to themselves. And it's definitely not helping when you're having, you know, their PR people try to tell you, no, you're actually wrong. This is the right thing to do because this is why. And trying to explain that, like, nobody would believe that Kiyomiya could beat Fujita, you know, because this guy won MMA fights 22 years ago or whatever. It's like, come on.
All right. Well, Justin Nipper, who's, again, I stress is paid by the promotion, also came into our Discord to tell me that I was full of shit. And I don't know what I'm talking about. And Fujita, you know, in terms of Fujita refusing to doing jobs and those sorts of things. Well, my reaction to that would be, and I think this is fair game since he's paid by the promotion. Okay, this is not a civilian, so to speak. So if he can dish it out, he can take it. My reaction to that is, if this is the way that this is booked, and if we are to believe that Kaz Fujita, that old Ironhead Fujita is in the back begging to put over Kaito Kiyomiya, and I would love to put it. If we are to believe that, okay, and that this is not him refusing to do things the right way, and this is just the way that the story is booked, well, that doesn't work either, because then the story fucking sucks.
Right. Then at the end of the day, you can argue with me if you want, but the story fucking sucks, and I hate it.
And history will tell us that these stories never
work. We're going to be right about this in the end.
Kaito Kiyomiya has now, when he quote unquote beat Masakatsu Funaki not only no-sold the first two finisher attempts, but he popped up after the finish, slapped Kiyomiya in the face, and then stormed out of the ring.
Right. Okay. I got one. Good.
That's not putting someone over in any regard. And if it's a story, the story fucking sucks. Number two was Muto. After beating Kiyomiya repeatedly like a drum over and over and over, Kiyomiya finally gets the win. And we talked about it extensively. People love the audio because we were passionate about it. And it's really when we hand-waved even bothering to give a shit about NOAA anymore. Muto no-sells the figure four, gives up, pops right up, doesn't endorse the kid, right after he beats him. He pops right up and leaves the ring.
Kiyomiya is trying so desperately to get a handshake from
Kiyomiya
this guy.
has to
He's running after the guy saying, no, don't leave the ring.
Come back.
Please come
then
back.
Muto begrudgingly acknowledges the kid with a little tap hug.
Yeah.
And continues storming out of the building. That's not putting someone over. Okay? And now we have Fujita with this nonsense, kicking out before the 3 count, popping right up, while Kiyomiya is still the one selling in the ring, even though he quote-unquote won, popping right up, beating up the ref, complaining about his shoulders not being down like he did to the luchador in the N1. Same old bullshit. If you want to, PR and people paid by the promotion might want to pretend and try to sell us that this isn't these older wrestlers going into business for themselves and desperately clinging to their last piece of relevance and their last paychecks, their last opportunity. Yeah,
with some of these same people, we've seen this already.
Some of the same people. You can try to sell that shit to some of the rubes, some of the teenage Puro fans on Twitter who might buy that nonsense. You're not pulling the wool over people like Adam's eyes. You're not pulling the wool over Alan Cunahan's eyes, and you're not pulling the wool over our eyes. So this is what I have to say to the Justin Nippers and the Mark Pickering. Save it. Don't waste your time with me. You're wasting your breath with me. I know the score. I know what's going on. I know that this shit sucks. Okay? And I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Whether it's a story being told or whether it's this guy or whether it's the reality of the situation, it sucks either way. It sucks either way. And history tells us it sucks. It's awful. It's awful. Okay? So don't try to Puro-splain people like us. It's not going to fly. Not here. And don't ever question my credibility. I don't have credibility? You think I get things wrong? Then you go get them right. Go do it. Go do the work. Okay? Don't question me. My shit's all in black and white. People can go read it. Nobody hits everything. Nobody in this business bats 1,000. Not Dave Meltzer, not Sean Ross Sapp, not Joe Lanza. Okay? But if it wasn't for me, people wouldn't get any news out of Japan. Meltzer's not doing it. Sapp's not doing it. Okay? And if you don't like what I'm putting out there, if you don't think it's true, it's all in black and white. Go read all my old reports. 99% of it, it's there. I shouldn't even have to have this conversation. It's there. The people who read it know. Okay? And this idea that you're just going to pop in and bring up this Yohei thing, and for people who don't know what I'm talking about, I wrote an article that said Yohei's contract was up and he was leaving Noah. 1 hour later, Rich, and it's still there. And you can pull it up and read it if you want. You can read it to the audience if you want. 1 hour later, when I got additional information and clarification, because this shit's not easy. You're dealing with English as a second language. You're dealing with go-betweens, people translating for you, Google translating. You're dealing with a lot of things. It's not easy. 1 hour later, when I got clarification on what I wrote, I posted a correction in that article that said he wasn't leaving the company. He would be finishing up his bookings, and he was open to working with the company in the future as a freelancer. So Pickering trying to tell me that I don't have any credibility because Yohei never stopped working for Noah. Well, I never said he was going to stop working for Noah. Go read what I wrote. It's right there. And then Pickering trying to tell me that I can't admit when I'm wrong. Mark, I admitted I was wrong in the article you're talking about. I posted a correction
1 hour
admitting
later, yeah.
I was wrong. Come on, keep up. The thing that you're citing was me was posting a correction and admitting I was wrong. So I don't like my credibility challenged. I don't like it. Like I said, you don't like something I said, you know that it's incorrect, you have additional information, my DMs are open. My email's available. I'm right here. I'd love for you to come talk to me. Come tell me what's wrong. Give me new contacts. And the funniest thing about it is, listen, maybe I went hard. I called the guy a clown. Maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, you did call him a clown. Yeah,
but he questioned my credibility.
I know. Yeah.
It's funny, though, because, I will never, ever, ever reveal a source. You don't do that. But if this dude knew the source, that would be the punchline to all of this. Yeah. And I'll leave it at that. But don't ever question my credibility. Got a problem with something I report? I'm not hard to find, and I'm all ears. But don't pop in and tell me that I got it all wrong. Or tell me what's all wrong then. Come tell me. I'll listen to you.
That's a Pro Wrestling 101 thing too, and that's not even just these guys. It's not just it's all of like, we get you talked about Carl Fredericks a lot. No one's saying the truth. No one's saying the truth. Okay, what's the truth then, buddy? Like, all right, that's a constant thing in wrestling is like, that's wrong. Oh, the wrestlers with their gifts or whatever. No, don't listen to what this guy's saying. That's all false or whatever. Okay, well, you have a giant platform. Tell people what the real truth is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to get it right. I posted a correction.
We will correct it.
Rich,
yeah.
1 hour later, when people read it and got back to me and said, no, you missed. I posted. Did I not post a correction? Is it not still up?
Still up there. Yep.
In the same article, an hour later, and I left the rest up there for posterity. I'm not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. Here's what I wrote before. That was wrong. Here's the correction. It took me 1 hour. And if that's the strongest evidence you have that I'm full of shit, then that speaks for itself. Why don't you bring up what else was in there? I told you Peros were going to Dragon Gate, and they did. Same article. What am I, clairvoyant? These people think I'm a psychic. These people think I'm clairvoyant, and I just guess this shit, and I'm right 99% of the time. I wish. I'd have a fucking crystal ball and some fucking tarot cards, and I would do that for a living if I was as clairvoyant as these people think I am. I didn't mean to do this.
You're good.
You want to cut it from then cut it. But I didn't mean. But it upsets me.
I got you. No,
you question my credibility. And maybe a large chunk of the audience doesn't care about any of this, but I had to get that off my chest. It's infuriating.
Well, because the amount of work that goes into what we do and who we try to get sources from and how we try to report stuff, like we always say, we could report double the amount of stuff that we report, but we don't do that because we can't clarify it. We can't get another source on it. We can't get anybody to confirm it. Like, if we just went with everything we've ever heard, and that's what some other sites do, and they get a lot of retweets and a lot of likes and a lot of backpats, and that's great for them, but that's not what we do. We try to always make sure that what we're reporting, what we're talking about, what we're saying is backed up in fact. That does have, double sourcing, triple sourcing, as many sources as we could possibly have that can confirm it. And that's not easy. It'd be a lot easier the first thing you hear from the first person you hear to go and report it and put it up and make some money off that. It'd be great. It'd be awesome to do that, but that's not how you should do it. That's not the right way to do it. And we try to do it the right way. And yet, when people still come at you of, you're not, this, what about this, what about this, what about this? It's frustrating because it's like, we're trying to do it right. Like, we're doing it right in the best way that we possibly can. And it's still, being treated this way, which is definitely frustrating.
Listen, Fujita and Funaki and Muto being fucking clowns is not something that's new.
No, that's what we're saying. It's like, we've been on the block with this before. We know what this is.
And if I were PR, I wouldn't try to make enemies of the media. I mean, you just have to you just have to swallow that shit when people are critical. It's So anyway, the main event was
it comes across really, needlessly defensive about this. Just let it. If that's the decision that the company made, then that's fine. Then your job is not to argue with people and tell them no, it's actually good. Your job is to promote, just promote it. Hey, well, you know what? Hey, you can watch the replay here at Wrestle Dash Universe. Obviously, when you do PR, you now are no longer able to argue with people about whether something is good or bad, or whether they should enjoy it or can enjoy it or are enjoying it. Like that, it's not your job anymore.
Yeah. Well, anyway, another bullshit finish. We all know the score. It's terrible. It's a terrible story if that's the story they're telling. It serves to get no one over except the guys.
It's not going to work. I mean, it's just not. But
it's terrible, and it's a shame because I love the house style in Noah. I like the English commentary. I like Pickering.
They do a great job. They do a really good job. I like them. I
don't like when he questions my credibility and puts that. But I never had any beef with that guy and until the other day. And I love the way they present their product. I love but look, the booking's a disaster and the inmates are running the asylum. I mean, we all know that, and it's a shame. And it's and this match was another example of that. I mean, in a perfect world, now that Kiyomiya is the champion and he took all his lumps and okay, fine. He should have just beat Kaz Fujita center of the ring. And it should have been Kaz Fujita who was struggling to get to his feet. And Kiyomiya, who was standing tall and standing on the turnbuckle and celebrating and coming out looking more powerful. And this utter nonsense that the fans would have rejected that is garbage. This nonsense that Japanese fans, what was the other shit that he was saying? And I'm paraphrasing.
I think a lot of it was that like Noah fans are a different breed and they would not accept something like that. I don't buy that.
Yeah,
but,
I don't buy it. He said the Japanese fans, legitimate credibility means more to them, and all of this. And it's I don't know. I just saw New Japan hit the highest heights in the history of their promotion with Kazuchika Okada, who probably never won a real fight in his life. I mean, it's come on. Stop.
Well, it's an outdated. It's an outdated way.
It's outdated,
it's
not only is it outdated,
Noah nearly out of it's the shit that almost put New Japan out of business. You know,
it's not only outdated. It's philosophies that nearly killed Japanese pro wrestling.
Right.
But that's the lessons of the past are never learned. These are things that nearly killed Japanese pro wrestling 20 years ago, and it's funny how. The other thing here with older wrestlers refusing to truly put over the younger wrestlers, ironically enough, it's this very company that sort of thing nearly killed this very company.
Yep.
It might have been 19 owners ago, but this is and for different reasons. It wasn't necessarily ego with Misawa and that era. It was fear that Marufuji and Kenta weren't ready because they tried and then they changed their mind. And as a result, the failure to create, and who knows if Kenta or Marufuji ever even really would have worked. I don't know. But the overall failure to create new stars and put younger wrestlers over nearly killed this very company. And here we are again, and we're defending it. Well, if I were paid rich, I would defend it too. What's the next match?
Man, we're up against it here. We got about a minute left in the show, so I don't know. That we got it. Do you want to really anything else that really stood out to you in this Noah show? I know that you watched it all, so I don't want you to waste your time. I watched the top four matches. So
I can fly
run through it as quick as you possibly can. And sorry, New Japan, you're not going to get Battle Auto preview.
Give pithy comments to the matches that you watched after I run through it. The semi-main event with Muto, Marufuji, and Inamura over Makabe, Hanma, and Tanahashi. You thought this was fun. I thought it was dog shit. I thought this match was terrible. I thought Muto barely got in the ring, and he wasn't good when he was in there. Hanma looked like shit. And the closing stretch with Marufuji and Hanma with Marufuji putting them away at the end, I thought was very poor, mostly due in part because Hanma's completely shot. And outside
he looks real rough these days.
Yeah.
I would be happy. It was fun for I found a little bit more fun than you did, but I would be good if they really start moonlighting Hanma and wrap it up here in the next couple of weeks and months. Like he looks brutal. It does not look good anymore.
There's a novelty aspect to Tanahashi getting in there with Muto one more time, but it doesn't do anything for me. I'm not a huge Muto fan, so it didn't tug at my heartstrings watching that. So to me, it was just a bad match. The Kojima and Sugiura defending against Nakajima and Kano. I thought this was the match of the night. I thought this rocked. I would go as high as about 4.25 or 4.5 on this. I thought, Kojima and Sugiura are two of the older guys who will still go in there and work hard and can still wrestle competently and still wrestle at a high level. And I thought this was easily the best match on the show. Did you watch it?
I did, and I liked it. Yeah, I'm with you. I thought this was really, really good stuff. This is the shit that we need. This is the shit. It seems pretty. I mean, when you talk about the house style and how we like the house style and how we like Noah and that sort of stuff, it's matches like this. That's just like, yeah, this is fucking great wrestling here. This is good back and forth, and a way that you can use veterans in a positive way. I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem that hard, but whatever.
Masakatsu Funaki and Sakuraba. Funaki chokes him out.
This is a garbage. Go away.
This is a contender for worst match of the year. It was horrendous. It was horrendous. Just again, what is this? Is this fucking 2000? Is this 22 years ago?
We're in a time warp again. I don't know.
Who wants this shit?
I don't know.
It's terrible. It was just so bad. Just an atrocious match. Ninja Mac accidentally wins the junior title, or at least it appeared that way when he did the flippy-do sunset flip on Hayata. Hayata appeared to get hurt. It looked like they were going to do a count out, but then the referee just waved it off. So it looks like Ninja Mac accidentally became the junior champion. So congratulations.
Hey, you know what? He adds his name to the list no matter what. So good for him.
Yeah.
The pantheon of great.
With the way this company books their juniors, he may have been booked to win the match anyway. Who the fuck knows?
Has he joined Stinger yet? Has he joined Stinger yet or no?
Well, there were no, on this show, nobody turned on each other.
Okay. Yet. So.
That's actually kind of slowed down.
It has, that we're gonna have to retire that in a little bit. It got ridiculous for a couple months, but it has slowed down a little bit. So
Kotoge and Yoshioka defend the junior tag titles successfully against Tarasuke and Haruki, and then they get challenged by two other members of Kongo. It was Shuji Kondo and Hajime Ohara. So they will be the next challengers for the junior titles. I should note, the next challengers for the heavyweight titles are the Funky Express, right? Did the Funky Express come out and challenge?
So at this point, I didn't see anything at this point, so I cannot tell you. But no, never mind. You're right. You're talking about that match. Yes, Funky Express did come out, which was a little bit of like, oh man. So we roll Nakajima and Kano out of the ring, get those out of there, and then Funky Express comes out, and I'm like, I don't know.
That match won't be quite as good.
No, that is a very good take, Joe. I do not think that match is going to be as good as Kojima and Sugiura versus Nakajima and Kano. I agree.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go through the undercard tags because it was just your standard fare, but there was one little angle after Dante Leone and Jack Morris defeated Daike Inaba and Yohei. No, it wasn't that match. It was after the or was it? I forget which match it was after, but Heio returned. He lost the loser leave town to Tarasuke, and he returned under a mask, and he apparently is back. So that was another angle they did. I just don't remember what they may have done that after the. Someone in the chat can correct me. All I know is they did an angle with where Heio came back. So, anyway, that was the Noah show. I didn't think it was a good show at all. The heavyweight tag team title match was awesome, and I thought the rest of this show was mostly shit. I watched the whole thing, and I can't recommend anything else on this show other than the GHC tag team title match.
And then we have Nakamura and Muto happening. That was the other big news here is that Shinsuke Nakamura is going to be facing Great Muta at their February. He's going to be at the January 1st show. The final Muto thing is going to be February 21st, but the Shinsuke Nakamura Great Muta match, January 1st, 2023. So that's a fun, interesting match there to figure out how that hell came together and happened. But yeah, cool.
Well, I think this Muto retirement thing, guys are going to want to work with him for one more time. They're going to want to work with him one last time. So the fact that WWE is allowing Nakamura to do this is good. I mean, these promotions should work together more and things like this where this is no skin off WWE's back.
No.
You know what I mean? And there could be some backdoor deal where he comes in and goes into their Hall of Fame or something like that. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So, anyway, that was the Noah show. The rant, for anyone who doesn't care about that stuff, I'm sorry, I guess, but it was a wild week.
And then real quickly before we go here, New Japan World TV Title Tournament, the quarterfinals have happened. Like you said, you reviewed all of the first round matchups at flagshippatreon.com, patreon.com/voices of wrestling. The first round was pretty fun. There were some really, really good matches. The Ren Narita Ishii match that I talked to you about last week, you finally watched it and you loved it just as much as I did. The quarterfinals, not as good. That's a great way to put it. They were pretty boring somehow. I didn't think that I thought that this was like a new invigorated title with some new steps and it's 15-minute time limits and then they're just kind of boring. I don't know. Yeah, I did not like anything of the quarterfinals. I mean, I think Zack Sabre Jr. David Finlay was fine, but yeah, the rest of it was just kind of like, I don't know. Just kind of
people seem to enjoy that one. I'm kind of over Zack Sabre Jr. right now. I go through periods with him where he bores me, and right now I'm in a period where Zack Sabre Jr. bores me. The rest of the quarterfinal matches, I didn't think any of them were good. Ren Narita and Toru Yano. Sonata versus Kenta was so fucking bad. Now, I understand Kenta got busted open hard way in his first round match. And he was wearing the headband and everything. No, it was Sonata and... Yeah, it was Sonata and Kenta, right? It was... Who did Sonata beat Taichi in the first round?
And then it was... let me get the exact bracket here.
Sonata and Kenta. It was Sonata and Kenta.
I'm almost positive that's the match, yeah.
Yeah, and that match was awful. And then Evil, who did Evil face in the quarters? He faced
Evil faced Yoshihashi in the quarters, and yeah, that was. Or no, that's that's the match. Yeah,
yeah, because Yoshihashi upset Jeff Cobb in the first round. So those 3 matches weren't any good. Saber Finley, I didn't particularly like it, but I think a lot of our listeners would.
I enjoyed it. It was far and away the best of all the second round matchups. I enjoyed it, but yeah, my hope is the semifinals are a little bit. I mean, Sonata and Ren Narita has at least hopefully a chance to be pretty good. Saber and Evil probably won't be very good. And then the hope is that, I mean, I'm with you that I think, the final is going to happen at Wrestle Kingdom. I think it's time to crown. I would go with Ren Narita with that. I think it's a great opportunity to crown him and have him win. So I don't know if they want, Zack Sabre Jr. in a singles match at Wrestle Kingdom or they have something bigger for him. I don't know if you would do Evil, but I think you got to do Ren Narita, right? Like, he has to win this thing.
At this point, I think after watching the match against Ishii, if he wasn't the scheduled winner, and I wrote this behind the paywall, if he wasn't the scheduled winner, they need to change the plans and he needs to win. Because they really have a chance. He has a chance to be a real star. Yeah. I mean, it's not just Shibata cosplay thing. It's he comes across like his own man, and Shibata is his legitimate mentor, so it works. And it's not as if Shibata invented the idea of a no nonsense black tights wearing ass kicker. He was just doing what the guys in the 70s and 80s did. So it's not as if this is a unique gimmick to Shibata that someone's trying to bite off of here. What Ren Narita is doing is classic, strong style, traditional New Japan, no nonsense ass kicker. And Shibata just happened to be the most recent one and is his mentor and the guy who had a hand in his training and everything else. So it all works. So, they really have, I think, a chance to have something with him. And we're seeing a lot of that generation of guys come along nicely. I know we're up against it, but Yota Tsuji, I think, is looking better and better every time I watch him in Rev. I think he's got a chance to be something special. Obviously, Umino. I don't know what's going on with Uemura. He's putting out some weird tweets that he's saying like goodbye.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Yeah, I'm very weirded out by that. I would, but the good thing is, like you said, I don't know what the future is with that. I don't know if that's just some weird excursion thing he's doing or whatever, but he won't be like, if he truly is like just leaving or gone or whatever. I mean, that would suck because I think he's got a ton of talent. But now that I've seen Narita and I've seen him back in Japan, I'm like, no, you know what? If Uemura is like weird and doesn't want to do this or whatever, they won't miss. I mean, I think they have a really good crop with these group.
This crop, I think, is going to work out.
This crop
nice.
is blowing away the Watos and blowing away a Yo and a show. When they, in terms of being singles, mid-card to main event type guys, I think they have a few of them in here. These are not future juniors. And Ren Narita looks already like he's a guy that you could really do some stuff with. And this title, they preached about this title being about young wrestlers and all that sort of stuff. It just makes all the sense in the world to give this platform to Ren Narita. And just, it's an instant way to just say, hey, this is a guy that matters and this is a guy that you need to pay attention to. And they do that. A lot of the young lions, when they truly believe that that guy matters and is going to mean something, they don't waste time with him. That's when we said, when they did the Master Wato thing, we said that tells you right now what they think of this guy. They don't think this guy is a legit dude that can become a guy. But then you look at what they did with Jay White, and you say, okay, that's a guy that they knew was going to be a star right away. So then they didn't fuck around with him. They just, when he was ready to come back from Excursion, he came back and he was instantly a star. And I'm not saying they're instantly making Ren Narita a star by giving him the world TV title or whatever, but I think it's closer to that than it is to what they've done with some recent guys as well. So
the Ren Narita Ishii match was in Korakuen Hall with a cheering crowd, and it was the first time since the pandemic that it really, truly felt like real New Japan.
Yeah, I agree.
It felt like real New Japan's back.
Guys just kicking the shit out of each other. It's 15 minutes. It was...
Yeah, the 15-minute time limit deal with these matches, I think, has worked. It gives them a sense of urgency. It breaks the house style to some extent when it comes to singles matches, and it really has worked. I could do without Zack Sabre Jr. doing taking it to 14:55 every match. I could do without that.
Yeah, I agree. And that was the one part with the Finley match that I had, is that they're sitting there and they're, getting in holds and getting out and then staring at each other, walking around the ring. And I'm like, 15 minutes, let's go. You know, how much time, guys? Let's reel it in.
Get to it.
Yeah, whereas like Ishii and Narita was like, we got 15 minutes, bell ring, and they're just like, kill, death, kill, you know, and that's what I want. That's what, you know, like you said, classic New Japan felt more like that.
It really, that match made it feel like, wow, this is what New Japan used to feel like before the pandemic. And, you know, and people should know, every television title match, tournament or otherwise, is free on New Japan World. That's the gimmick with this. So if you don't have New Japan World, you can go watch that Ren Narita Ishii match on New Japan World for free.
Yep. Every
Every tournament match is free. And then once they crown their champion, all of the title matches for the television title are going to be free on New Japan World. So they're using this title sort of to, you know, almost entice people to come to New Japan World, use the service, see what it's like, and then maybe, you know, you get some buys out of that. Oh, okay, that match was good. This service is easier to use than I thought. It's not intimidating to me as someone who doesn't read or speak Japanese. And then maybe they get, I think that's the idea behind it. And also, the office really wants to push younger wrestlers because they see the success that Stardom has had with that. And there's some impatience with the New Japan dojo system that we've spoken about here that the office has. There's kind of an internal push and pull between some of the trainers and the more traditional people in New Japan and the office, which wants instant results and young, good-looking guys being pushed because they want to kind of copy the model that Stardom does with, you know, Stardom, you know, they push teenagers, you know, and they're all under the same umbrella, and they want New Japan to move these guys along faster and get the younger, you know, good-looking guys into prominent positions instead of, you know, pussyfooting around with the traditional ways, with the excursion, the comeback.
These guys aren't ready until they're 32 years old, and it's like, well, we may have missed a window with these guys already.
Yeah. Now this current crop, you know, Ren Narita's 24 and Uminu's 26, 25 or 26. And Tsuji, I think, is a little older. He's 27 or 28. He might actually be 29. So this crop is a little younger because, you know, there have been some crops where guys were a little older. So they have some more time with these guys. But the point is the office wants to push young. This title was the idea of this wasn't something that Gato wanted to do. This is something that the office pushed and said, you know, we want to expose our younger talent. We want this built around younger talent, faster paced matches. And so it makes all the sense in the world for Ren Narita to win this thing. And I hope he does.
So real quickly, we had the Battle Autumn show this weekend. We've previewed it a little bit here and there. The main event, Ospreay versus Naito for the U.S. title. That's the big one. Yeah. FTR versus Okada and Jeff Cobb for the tag team titles. Semifinals matches for both of the World TV titles. And then Okada and Tama Tonga versus Jay White and Kenta are the matches you really need to be aware of. And we will have to punt our New Japan and New Zealand. It's not till November 11th, so we can talk about.
We got time.
We can talk about the Wheelman Tony Kazina after that. We talk about Michael Richards is back, Joe. Michael Richards, not that Michael Richards. The other Michael Richards, the wrestling Michael Richards, is back.
Young Lion Cup, Mike. Wasn't he one of the Young Lion Cups?
He was, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely remember writing about him in the New Japan ebook.
And I'm sure that tournament is loaded with Bad Luck Fale students. So
yeah, there's a bunch of guys. They don't all look like winners, but hey, there's some fun guys there. We'll talk about that next week. Yeah, we don't need to get to that this week. But that is it for us here on the Flagship Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast: Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon, Radio Public. I think we're on Odyssey. We're on everything. Anything you could possibly find. If we're not on it, let us know. Get on there. Make sure you subscribe to the Flagship feed as well as the Voice of Wrestling Podcast Network feed. Subscribe to both of those and download everything so we can get our numbers up and be number one in more countries than just Turkey and the Isle of Man. But we're coming for you, other countries. There's some other ones we're popping. I looked at the charts. We're popping up on a few others too, so we're not far away from it. But anyway, make sure you subscribe to us on there. Voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, Flagship Patreon, whichever way you want to get there. You can get there. $5 tier, $10 tier gets you all of our bonus audio. Then we mentioned it as well, youtube.com/Voices of Wrestling. That is our YouTube channel. Trying to ramp that up a little bit. We obviously have all of our podcasts on there, but additionally trying to get some clips from the shows that really stand out, things that people have enjoyed it. They've said, hey, it's a lot easier to share your show now that I can send people this 20-minute clip and say, hey, listen to these guys. Look how fun they are. Look how exciting they are. Look how funny and smart and handsome they are. And then people will listen to us after that. So that's good. We appreciate that. So youtube.com/Voices of Wrestling. So that is it for us. For Joe, I'm Rich. We'll talk to you next time on the Flagship Podcast. Take care.
This holiday, whether you're making a Kroger Simple Truth turkey for 40 or a Murray's Baked Brie for 2, Kroger has fast, fresh delivery and free pickup, so you can make holiday meals that bring you all together to create memories that last. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Free pickup on orders of $35 or more. Restrictions may apply.
And right now, you can save when you shop your faves. Just buy 6 or more participating sale items and save 50 cents each with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Tired of long waits and rushed care at the ER and urgent care clinic? Next time, stay home and let Dispatch Health bring the power of the hospital to you.
I call Dispatch Health. A care team of medical professionals actually come to your house.
They're the same caliber of people that you would see if you were at a hospital or an urgent care.
Dispatch Health can treat most non-life-threatening emergencies.
They can do the x-rays, they can do stitches,
urinary tract infections, blood test, urinalysis, ultrasound.
It's almost everything that they can do at the ER.
You never feel rushed. They're there for you and only you.
I felt like their only patient.
And it costs no more than a trip to urgent care because Dispatch Health is covered by most insurance, including Medicare. See if we serve your home at dispatchhealth.com.
Dispatch Health really went above and beyond.
It's wonderful to have care come to your home.
House calls are back, and they're better than ever. Learn more at dispatchhealth.com.